Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to my stream. Yeah. It's so cold, and I was sick the whole week, so that is why I also couldn't stream last time. Like, cause I remember I said on a Sunday after we finish, what is it? Killer frequency. I said like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stream on Monday because I'm like free, don't have to go to school. Then I got sick until now actually, but I'm much better, so yeah. And hello Strap, thank you so much for the kind words. It's so nice to have you here and saying all those words. It really means a lot to me, and I'm proud of you for existing as well. And I'm so thankful that you're here. And Lyra, yes, good luck at work and thank you so much for stopping by. But yeah, so I'm still a little bit like sick, but not as sick as I think Tuesday. Yeah, it was really bad. But now like hopefully my voice is loud enough because I noticed that my throat is still sore. So yeah, my voice might be a little bit too soft to hear. So and then my eyes are burning. I don't know why, but my eyes are burning. So but yeah, as you can see, today we're gonna play House Flipper. I decided that I want to play House Flipper because I do remember last time I said I want to play Stardew Valley, but then I thought maybe I can play it later with my new overlay because I'm so excited. I made it myself and I cannot wait to show you guys the things that I've been working on, because I would say 95% that my 2D debut preparation are done. So all the things that I commissioned that are important for my 2D debut is all been delivered. And I think some of you already saw the stream avatars on Twitter, and it looks so cute and I cannot wait to use it and show you guys, because I've tested out. I tested out with everything, with my new model, my overlay and everything, and it looks amazing and you guys look so cute, so I cannot wait to play around with it. And then I have new background music that has also been delivered and it sounds amazing. I cannot wait to show you guys. I hope you guys like it as well. And yeah, and I think the only thing left is actually the presentation, which is something that I actually have to work on it a long time ago, but I just don't have time to do it. But I already know what to put, so it shouldn't be that hard. And then I would like to make the announcement this Sunday because, okay, if you guys are here, you guys gonna get an exclusive announcement, which is I'm planning to do my debut in the 24th of November, which is next week Sunday. Yeah, at first I want to do it at the 30th of November, which is on a Saturday. It's like 2 weeks from now, but I just remember that I had something at night, so I couldn't really do it on that day because I would like to do it at 9 p.m. so my European viewers can also join, and so the people like, yeah, everyone can join to watch it. So that's why. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna do it on the 24th. Hopefully by then I already have my presentation preparation ready. And then the things that we're gonna do, I think I'm just gonna do it on the announcement. I'm probably gonna do karaoke, so I'm very excited. And hopefully by then my voice is back. But yeah, but other than that, I'm very excited for the debut, and I hope you guys are excited as well. Nini, hello, welcome. Also, you guys, Nini is going to debut tomorrow, and I'm very, very excited. Let me give a quick shout out to Nini. Shout out. How do you do shout out? It's been a while since I. Oh wait, okay, I think I know. Shout out to Small Nini. Yeah, make sure to. Oh wait, I think I got it wrong. Damn it, it's the wrong Small Nini. It's with double L. Oh, so sorry, Nini. I'll do it in a sec. But yeah, mine is going to be next week Sunday, so it's on the 24th. And I'm very, very excited for it. I'm excited for you, Nini. You look amazing. Your model, oh, I love it. And yeah, mine is gonna be on the Sunday. I wanted to do it on the Saturday, which is in 2 weeks, but as I mentioned, I sadly have something at 9 p.m. So I couldn't do it on the Saturday on the 30th. So I decided to do it a week earlier, which is on the 24th. Because like as I mentioned, all the things that I commissioned that are important for the debut is all delivered. And I would say 95% I'm done. The only thing is that my presentation. So hopefully I can do it quickly. I want to make it like cute as well. But what's important is that the things that I'm gonna talk about I already know, so shouldn't be worried about that. Okay, let me give you a quick shout out again. Yeah. So yeah, I will try. Oh wait, I still need to wait 46 seconds for it. Okay, dang it. But yeah. Okay, wait, Nini, until I can give you a shout out. Wait, give me a sec. Okay, sorry. My sister just stepped in and she said if I want one of her jacket, and I said yes. And she said hi too. So hi everyone from my sister. But yeah, I'm very excited. I actually want to cry because I've been wanting to use this model for so long. And again, the overlay looks amazing. I made it myself, so hopefully it's good. But I tried everything and it looks amazing. So yes, I'm getting a new overlay because I wanted to match my model even better. So yeah. And the overlay is like I made it myself, so it's not gonna be so grand, but it's like pretty simple, but I would say it's good enough to match with everything that I have because I'm a simple person myself. So but I'm gonna explain everything during the presentation, so I'm not gonna give you guys a lot of spoilers, but it's gonna be so much fun because there's gonna be something funny. Not really funny, I hope you guys think it's funny, but I cannot wait. I just cannot wait. Okay, I hope I can give you a quick shout out now. Make sure that it's correction. There you go. Okay, everyone, Nini is gonna have her debut tomorrow at 4 p.m. right, Nini? 4 p.m. Central European time. So yeah, make sure to be there because Nini looks amazing. I cannot wait. And what else? There's not much to talk about. I'm just excited. Tomorrow I'm going out to watch this movie, which is an anime, like a manga adaptation from Fujimoto, the one who made Chainsaw Man. Yeah, I think it's Fujimoto, right? Let me check. I don't want to. Yeah, Tatsuki Fujimoto has this manga called Look Back, and I read that long time ago. It's like a one shot. And then they made like the movie adaptation recently, and I didn't know that they also put it on the movies, like in the bioscope. How do you call it? Like in the theater, movie theater, in some cities in Netherlands. So I was just looking at it, and then one of them is like a city that is pretty nearby. So I went there. Yeah, cinema. So I already ordered the tickets. And tomorrow I'm going to see it with my boyfriend, and I'm so excited. And it's like a short movie, so that's why I think they don't play it in every cinema. And from what I saw, there's gonna be like only 5 people in the cinema tomorrow. So I'm very excited because I remember reading it and I love it so much. And I've been seeing like the trailer, and it looks so good. And I saw like on Rotten Tomatoes that they have like 100% rating, so it's gonna be so good. Yeah, it's only 5 people because like I said, it's only like short movie. It's like 57 minutes, I would say. And then what else? And like they don't play it every hour, so they only play it once a day. So yeah, tomorrow I'm pretty lucky to get the tickets. So I cannot wait to watch it. But yeah, that's the only thing that I'm gonna do this week. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I was sick the whole week, so I couldn't do much, and I was just in bed the whole day since Monday. Didn't expect it to get sick, um, but I'm much better now. I still have like sore throat a bit, and my nose is kind of blocked, and my eyes are burning. Don't know why, but other than that, I am much better. So yeah, yeah, it's kind of nice to just like rest as well, especially this weather. It makes you don't wanna get out of bed. So yeah. uh, what else? Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, today I decided to stream because why not? I'm much better and I have energy to stream, and I'm very excited to play House Flipper. And today's gonna be different. Instead of like listening to like music, I kind of wanted to listen like a podcast, like mystery podcast, because I've been listening to this person. I think maybe some of you know, Rotten Mango, Stephanie Sue. She does a lot of like mystery stuff, like murder case and everything, and it's so good. The way she tells the story is like really good. I watched the one from Seoul Ferry, the tragedy in Korea, which is devastating. And then I also watched the one from about firefighters, also in South Korea, also very very sad. And as for today, we are going to listen to the case about. It is actually pretty recent, I would say 2 years ago it happens, which is the Itaewon tragedy for the Halloween. Yeah, so we're gonna watch and listen that while I play games. I hope you guys don't mind. It can be pretty graphic, so if you don't like anything like that, don't listen to it. Just mute my stream and watch me play or whatever. But yeah, we're gonna do that today, and because I feel like I don't think I'm gonna talk a lot since my throats are a bit hurting. So yeah, instead we're just gonna listen to that podcast. So I'm very excited. You don't want to cry. Yeah, I hope the case is not as sad, but most of the time the case are pretty sad. So yeah, I'm very excited to listen to it. Hopefully I can focus because most of the time when I put something to watch, I tended to either play the game fully and not pay attention to what I'm watching, or the other way around. So we will see with my attention span if I can, pay attention. Also, I hope that I pronounced the names correctly. I try my best. Oh, but yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. And yeah, hopefully you guys are having a great week so far. This is Friday, right? Happy weekend, happy Friday, and I'm so glad that you guys can make it here. Enjoy the weekend. For some of you guys, if it's already nighttime like me, but if your day just started, I'm so sorry. But hope everyone is having a great day today and yesterday or whatever. But yeah, I guess we can just get started with the game. And then, man, my head is hurting. Yeah, happy Friday to you too, Nini. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna be right back because I need to set the game. I was actually almost late because I was just setting up some stuff and didn't pay attention to the time. So yeah, I will be right back to set up the game. Okay, I'm back. And as you guys can see, I have a little television next to me. So let me move my model a little bit. And hello, Golden Cream, welcome in. Let's see. Where is it? Where is my model? Okay. Gonna move you just a tiny bit. I'm gonna make you a bit smaller too. I have a certain placement. If I'm not satisfied with the placement, I'm sad. So I have to make sure that you guys can see the TV as well. Okay, let me see. Okay, the game, I also need to change it. So much things. Oh, slipper. Yeah, I think we're almost done, right? No, we are done with the main thing and we're just focusing on the, what is it called? The DLCs, so. Okay. Okay, here's the thing, because I cannot capture the... Ah! Hi, Victor. Welcome in. This scared me. Okay, because I have to like capture my screen. Suddenly I cannot capture the YouTube, so I have to move stuff to make sure that I don't dox myself. There's a cooking DLC coming for House Flipper? Is it for the second one? Because I don't have that game yet. I still want to finish the first one first before I get the second one. But yeah. Okay. Oh, how am I gonna watch chat if I... Okay, this is gonna be complicated. Then I have to put chat on my phone. Okay, I guess you guys are going to be on my phone this time. Okay, what must I... Yeah, I'm gonna put you guys on here. I'm watching you from my chat. Yeah, there's a TV. We're gonna watch a documentary today because I feel like doing that instead of listening to music today. And I think I'm not gonna talk much because I'm sick. My throat is still hurting, sadly. But yeah, so you guys can listen to Stephanie Sue, aka hey Golden. See, this is what I'm scared of because I cannot see chat, so I'm gonna get spooked if you guys do that all the time. Because I cannot see my OBS because I have to put like my YouTube on the second screen, and I have to do like a display capture. So I have to move my OBS to the main screen, but then I have to kind of like change everything. But anyway, we'll figure out. But yeah, I'm putting you guys on my phone instead. So if there's something worrying, let me know. Yeah, let's go ahead and play while we watch. Okay, so the case that we're watching is the Itaewon Halloween Tragedy. This is the title, the Itaewon Halloween Tragedy, 159 dead and how the police tried to cover it up. I'm just gonna say to y'all, South Korea is fucked up. It's not as good as you think. And yeah, very sad. So yeah, let's get into it. Can you guys see the game as well? Yeah, right? You guys can see the game. Okay. How about the TV? Where's my mouse? I haven't played the thing yet.
Bada bing, bada boom.
So let me know about the
Before we get
audio.
started, I just want to give a content warning. There's going to be a lot of very graphic videos included in this episode. This event was
How about the audio? Is it
recorded
like
over and
good
over.
enough?
There's just a lot out there, and I feel like a lot of the times you need to kind of hear from the families of the victims, and you need to
Is it loud
see
enough
some of the events
or
that took place. just to really
Let me know
understand
if I have to
how
adjust
important
it.
it is that we help these families get justice. So, huge content warning. And with that being said, let's get into it. On October 30th, a man walked out of his tiny little shop in Itaewon, and he placed this pink piece of cloth.
I'm also trying to like
his
watch while
alleyway.
playing.
He brings out this tray.
It's
of
pretty
food.
low?
He
Okay.
lights 2 candles.
Let
and this
me
elderly
adjust
man,
it for
he
you,
gets on his
Nini.
knees in front of the food, and he starts sobbing.
Okay, how about
Police
now?
immediately approach him, and this alleyway is supposed to be
Is it
closed
good?
off. They had it taped up. Nobody was allowed through. So what is this man doing? Remnants of the tragedy before were lingering everywhere. I mean, if you look at this video, there's IDs, lost
Okay, let me know if I
shoes,
still need
clothes,
to adjust the
everything
volume.
scattered throughout the alleyway. And the officer tells the old man, the police officer, you can't do this. Like, you gotta go. Grab your stuff. Come on, let's go. The old man starts arguing back. He's like, don't do this right now. You have to let me do this. You have to let this go.
Okay, yeah, see,
The
this is what I
officer
mean. I
tells him,
cannot focus.
Just take your food. We gotta go. And he screams, no, you leave that right there. More officers start to show up at the
Ooh,
scene,
44.
and they start touching the food that he's laid out on the ground. They're trying to take it away. The man breaks down and he yells at them, don't you even dare touch the food. Finally, the man breaks down completely and he's sitting on the ground, cold cement, and he's just sobbing. The officer sits down with him and both of them start crying, and he's like stroking the old man's back, trying to console him. The old man had screamed at them, the children need to have one last meal. One last meal, so don't touch it. Don't you dare touch it.
신랑의 끝에 상인도 경찰도 울음을 터뜨립니다. 이 어이없는 비극을 우리 사회는 언제까지 되풀이해야 할까요?
He owns a shop in this alleyway. He's a business owner, and he said that he tried his best to save as many people as he could, but so many more people died literally right in front of his eyes. 159 people died in the alleyway the night before, and he wanted them
Yeah,
to
it's
have
crazy,
one last meal.
this case. Well, I actually don't know if there's like any conspiracy behind it, or it's just like accident. So that's what I want to know. There's for sure there's gonna be like governments cover up and everything. So okay, let's see.
As always, full show notes are listed at rottenmangopodcast.com. There's a lot of videos that I've linked there. Please go watch them. And if you guys are watching the video podcast on YouTube at Rotten Mango or on Spotify, all the videos are going to be in this video. And I'm just going to warn you, so many of these videos are so incredibly graphic, and all of them just, yeah. So with that being said, let's get into it. His parents were really worried about him. He was meeting with a therapist twice a week. He had on-campus counseling in high school. It seemed like the parents were doing all of the right things. They were not ignoring his cries for help. They weren't saying, oh, he's just a 16-year-old teenager. Maybe he's just emotional. They were taking everything he was saying so very seriously.
Yeah,
Their
I
son
cannot
had
stop
always
watching
been a
it.
bit of a
Sorry.
quieter kid, but
I'm
like a
trying to
good
think
kid.
which level
He
we're gonna
listened to his
do.
parents, he studied, came home on time, and if he was out having fun, he was always with like the same 2 friends. They were like the 3 peas in a pod. They were the 3 musketeers. And now he just feels so alone. He feels like he's 16, completely isolated from the world. I mean, the parents did everything that they could to help. December 12th of 2022, so not too long ago, just a few months ago,
I'm gonna
just a
do
few
this
weeks
one.
before Christmas, the parents get a text message from their son. And he says, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. Please don't forget me. Please, you must remember me.
So sad.
I'm gonna go meet up with my friends. His friends had died
I hate
in the
gay
Itaewon
netizens.
Halloween crowd search just 43
I
days
hate
ago.
them.
The crowd search that killed 159 people
Let's
and
do this
injured
one.
nearly 200 others, and now their son would take his life in a motel bathroom because he couldn't bear to
Crazy.
carry this like incredibly heavy burden of being the only survivor in his friend group. Literally, nobody could have ever imagined what was going to happen.
Wait, let me
that
read
night in
this real
Itaewon.
quick.
Yeah.
Man's job. Had purchased the small house on sale. The couple that was selling the house split up during house renovation. Some furniture is brand new. Unfortunately, the house is also messy, as it usually happens during renovations. Ed has some doubts when it comes to choosing which of the existing solutions should be carried over and which ones should be rearranged to suit him. One thing Ed knows for sure, he needs to have a comfortable office. Good luck, Greta and Oliver. Okay, so the budget is 5,421. And we have two choices. I think it's something that we can choose later based off like the theme and also the rooms. We have 7 rooms. Okay. Eh. Oh wait, they're following my mouse. That's so cute. Okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead and listen to
I'm sure you guys have heard
this
of what
again.
happened there Halloween weekend of 2022, and if there were a few people,
Yeah, it was
that knew it
2022, so it was
dangerous,
2 years
definitely
ago
wasn't
when
the
it
parents of the
happens.
people in attendance. They would never have let their kids go if they knew anything bad was going to happen. By all accounts, all these people in attendance, they were responsible adults. There were some that were in high school, some even as young as middle school, but their parents knew exactly where they were going. They just wanted to celebrate. So I kind of need to talk to you about how the night starts so you just see how normal it is. It wasn't like, oh, these people, they went to this dangerous area and risked their lives to celebrate. Like they went to this area that everyone was like, oh, we're warning you, don't go here, it's so bad. Absolutely not. Like that's not what happened at all. I did see some online discourse of people being like, well, these people were being young and drunk and reckless, and this is what happens when they all gather in one spot. I completely disagree. For example, Mr. and Mrs. A, that's what we're going to call them. They're sitting in the car, October 29th of 2022, and they're on their way to this super fancy restaurant. They're smiling at each other in the car. I'm sure they felt really excited and kind
The
of giddy.
kitchen looks
Like
nice
they had
already.
worked so hard in the past, 3 decades to
Yeah, we
raise
have to
their
make
family,
decision
and
here.
now their kids finally all grown up. So the parents, they're living the life, and it was also the dad's birthday.
Okay, how do I
And
jump?
their
Oh,
25-year-old
there you go.
daughter had just made them reservations at one of the fanciest restaurants in town. She texted her dad, go have fun with mom. Also, thank you for raising me. I'll repay you in the future. Haha.
Oh, looks nice.
She
Just
wouldn't be joining
some
them
furniture that
as
we need
she
to
was
change.
gonna go with some friends to
Here is
celebrate
the
Halloween in
office.
Itaewon. So the whole car ride,
What
they're
the?
just smiling at each other. I mean, they had raised their kids to be such incredible adults. In
This
another
is
parent
sus.
home, a dad watched his daughter get ready for Halloween festivities. She was dressed up as Princess Jasmine from Aladdin. This is her. And he
Aw.
remembered. He actually made fun of her. He was like, this full-grown kid. She was putting on a fashion show for me. And she twirled around and she was like, Appa,
Okay.
this is
This
what
is
I'm
not a
wearing.
big house,
Don't
so I
look
think we can do
pretty?"
it pretty quick.
I'm sure he was a bit worried that his daughter was going out, but that's very normal. I mean, no parent ever really stops worrying. Same as another father in Seoul. So his daughter told him that she was going to Itaewon for Halloween. He completely trusted her to be safe. She's just always, like all these other kids, I mean, she's just always been this really well-behaved kid. She knew the rules. She followed them. She's the type that would write him these lengthy letters for his birthday.
Right.
The two had this really intense bond. So 3 years before
You just have to make decision
he
now.
was diagnosed with leukemia. And his
Oof.
daughter was a match, so they transplanted bone marrow from her to save his life. And she would write
Okay,
to
this is
him
probably
while he was
leather, so we
recovering
have
in
to
the
choose the
hospital.
leather
And
one.
she wrote, I'm so happy to have been born your daughter.
So it
You're the
says,
only one that I can
wait.
rely on, so please don't.
It says here, what should we do about the furniture that is already in the living room? A lot of furniture is stylish, let's keep what we have. We will choose other furniture in a similar style, more modern material. I actually forgot what the person wants, so let me, no. Okay, so it's just my YouTube stuff, so nothing to see there. Okay, I wanna see what the person says. Can I check like what they want actually? Except for gore. I forgot what they want. Like I read it, but I forgot. Or it doesn't matter actually. I mean we have to make a decision. Let me back to office first. Yeah, because we can always just go back. So let me do that real quick. YouTube history exposed. Nor there's nothing there. Nothing sus. Yeah. Okay, let's go back real quick. Let me do restart then. And see what they said. It's just I search for duckies, so yeah. Okay, some doubts because you see. Okay, it doesn't really says what they want. They said like I can choose between saving or just like add something new. All he wants is to have comfortable office, so I think I'm probably gonna like save the letter because they look pretty nice. Hi, Mr. Donato. Donato. Hi, Mr. Donut. Welcome in. Wiggle, wiggle, waddle, waddle. Does the duck have a name? Yes, my duck name is Daisy. My baby. And you guys are Astro Quack, which is also a duck, but in space. What do ducks eat? How expensive are ducks? Can you have ducks in the Netherlands? Definitely, that is something that I actually search. Not gonna lie, because I really want to know. So yeah. So yeah, good guess, Nini. So yeah, let's go ahead and play again.
Don't get sick again, okay? Take good care of yourself, Dad. I need you to stay with me for like another 70 years. You have to cook me seaweed soup, even when I'm like 96 years old. You know I don't like any other people's seaweed soup. I love you, Dad.
How to steal a duck
You're
from
the
public
best.
space?
By
Public
the end of the
park,
night,
sorry.
she would be dead.
Yeah,
And
that
you
is
would
something
cry
that
out.
I
You
actually
told me
want to
you
do
wanted
as
me
well.
to stay with you for 70 years. You wanted me to cook you seaweed soup until you were 96.
Like, can I
You
not
promised.
do that? Hmm?
Before we get there, let me tell you about Halloween in South Korea.
Also,
If
let
you're
me
gonna be
know if
anywhere
the
in Korea for
audio
Halloween,
is
like the
okay. Like,
first
you guys can
Halloween
still
after
hear
COVID
me
restrictions
well.
have been lifted was
So yeah,
October of 2022.
I don't want to
3
overlap.
years. It was going to be Itaewon if you were going to go anywhere to celebrate. Itaewon is a city that's located inside of Seoul, and it's above the Han River. It's typically known as just a place with incredibly fun, lively nightlife. Like that's what people go to Itaewon for.
Thank you for
They've
the
got
duck.
bars, restaurants, nightclubs, shops that open late.
Yeah, the
It's
letter
just
still
this
looks good, so I'm gonna
gathering
keep
center. It's also
this
a super
furniture.
popular destination for foreigners. Like the energy just feels really unique there. There's even this famous K-drama called Itaewon Class. And there's actually a famous quote in that series that says, most people just come to Itaewon for Halloween. So October
Yeah.
29th of 2022, partygoers are spending hours in front of their bathroom mirrors, like putting on their face makeup, their costume, they're fixing their hair, their wigs, their everything, adjusting their dresses.
Would
and
put
their
ducks in
pants, and
here.
businesses were
I think this is
equally as
the
busy,
the
but
room for duckies.
Halloween in Itaewon that weekend, insane. They're making sure they got all the inventory that came in, like they got to get all the soju glasses. They're
Yeah, let's
turning up the
choose.
music. I mean, they're doing everything to make sure that everyone's gonna have a good time. They're prepping their ingredients for all the food. I mean, there's gonna be about 130,000 people coming through Itaewon, which is a pretty small area.
Wow.
So, like, think about it. The city is Seoul. This is like a part of the major city. Even taxi drivers were on standby near Itaewon, just waiting to take all the drunk people home. And I think it's important to note, for weekends like this, it's a boost in the city's economy. And this is important later. So the whole city of Itaewon, they're prepping for this big Halloween weekend. It's literally been 3 years since Itaewon had a Halloween
bathroom
because
looks
of,
nice.
the pandemic. This is the first time that
With the
mask
wallpaper and
mandates have been
everything.
lifted for Halloween. So, let's talk transportation. Let's talk about the logistics of this night.
No, my dog.
Most citizens
It's
that were
locked
heading into
there.
Itaewon, they were not going to drive. They're going to take the Korean subway. First of all, most people take the subway to begin with. It's the easiest way to move around, and parking would have been absolutely horrific in Itaewon that night. Most people were planning on drinking, so they're not driving, and this is so important to note. Itaewon subway station drops you off right smack
Yeah,
dab
look how
in the middle of
tiny
Itaewon,
that
right
is.
next to this little alleyway. I'm gonna put up a bunch of maps, but they'll also be in the show notes. Now, this little
I hope you
alleyway
guys
is
can see
important
the
because
screen
it
for the
connects
tiny
main
TV
road
well
that
as
has
well.
the subway station and the World Street Food Road, which is like where all the bars and restaurants are. So a lot of people will travel through this alleyway to get from the train station to the busiest part of Itaewon. Some people will leave Itaewon by taking this little alleyway. Now, during the day, this alleyway looks just unassuming. It's just this narrow little space. There's restaurant entrances up and down both sides.
Okay, I have to
There's
mix
even a hotel called the
between
Hamilton Hotel located on the alleyway.
okay,
So
the
main
tiles and
entrance for the
painting.
hotel isn't in the alleyway, but
The tiles
it's like
probably for the
the building is right
kitchen,
there. To
I
me, it just looks
assume.
like your stereotypical alleyway in one of the big cities. Like,
So I'm gonna
space
do
is
that.
tight, the place is
You
still gonna
zoomed
be
in? Okay,
tiny.
that's good.
I'm gonna give you a bunch of pictures on just how narrow it is.
I can
It's
also
about
like
10 feet
give you
wide and
guys
about
the
100.
link if you're interested in like watching it yourself. Let me make sure that I don't expose myself. Okay, so this is the case that we're watching for today. It's like about an hour, 30-minute-ish. So we're probably gonna like watch another case after this. But yeah, Rotten Mango is really good at telling stories, so let me pin this real quick. Right. Then let's go back.
30 feet long, and it's on a hill, so it slopes downward. Another thing to note is that the road is not paved over in like a smooth cement. Okay, I wouldn't say it's as intense as cobblestone, but it's like a brick floor where some bricks protrude out more
Light
than others,
gray,
and you can
okay.
definitely tell that some parts of this hill, this downward slope, they're uneven. So even without a crowd, it's the kind of alleyway where if you were walking down with your friend, you would try to keep an eye out because you could easily trip. It's that kind of rocky. Now, take this alleyway and imagine two horizontal roads, big roads. One road is the main party street for Itaewon called Itaewon World Food Street, and the other road has the Itaewon subway station on there. And the easiest way to get from these two parallel roads is this tiny little alleyway. So throughout the entire Halloween night, people are up and down this alleyway, getting to and from the subway station. And as the night is progressing, there were what now seems like the first warning signs. There were a few people that were pushed down or accidentally shoved in this alleyway. Now, I mean, I'm sure the party energy, the alcohol, I'm sure it had something to do with it, but most of it was due to the alleyway, like the crowds, the foot traffic, the uneven floorings, the slope. But everyone responded to these mini accidents in a very normal way. Everyone would freeze, make sure the person got back up, was good, and then everyone would keep walking again. That's kind of to be expected. What's not to be expected is nearly 200 people dying in this alleyway.
Yeah.
The first 911
So
call
much
of the
people
night
died.
was made at 6:30 p.m. The incident doesn't happen until about 10.
Wow, so that's 3.5 hours earlier.
3.5 hours earlier, people started realizing something wasn't right. Like, things are gonna get weird. So in Korea, it's 112, the emergency line, but someone called to report to the police, hey, the alleyway near the Hamilton Hotel is getting dangerous. People are going up and down this tiny little alleyway. Some people are struggling to get down the alleyway because people keep pushing them up. Like, I barely made it out of the alleyway. It's getting that crowded. It's getting bad. I think you guys need to send some people down here and try to control the situation. The police on the other end asked, are people gonna fall down and cause a huge accident? Yeah, it's really dangerous. You need to do something. Okay, thanks for calling. We're gonna send someone out to check it out. For hours, nobody checked it out.
But that's weird because don't you need to have police present when there's big crowd anyways?
Yeah, so that's the argument that people have and why I said it's so important. The fact that Halloween weekend is an economic weekend, it boosts the economy of the city. So anytime there's these events that are held, police are part of the planning. It's all part of city planning.
Yeah.
That's like what your taxes are paying for. There was like no police there. I mean, we're going to get into all the reasonings. A lot of police officers get arrested. 7 p.m., a large crowd gets stuck in
Look
the
how
alleyway.
many that
I do think several
many
things
person
play a
that
factor
is.
in how things would turn out this first time. It's 7 p.m. The party's just getting started, it seemed. People were drunk, but more than that, people were just excited to be there. Keep this in mind, and it's not that big of a crowd. So there's a crowd stuck in the alleyway, and it
I don't know how
seems
to
like an
decorate
accident is
this
just
because they
waiting
only
to
need
happen.
15 of it.
So a woman
So
in the crowd, she senses this danger. She climbs up onto a ledge in the alleyway where she can see both ways, and she starts directing the crowd, like, you know, a traffic police officer. She's urging everyone, hey, go down the slope first, everyone. Move to the side, and then people going up the slope can come up afterwards. It sounds easy. I mean, it sounds like, why didn't they do this the next time it happened? But it wasn't easy by any means. Like, the crowd was moving basically inch by inch. That's how jam-packed it was. It was not like a, hey, everyone to the right, to the left. They're inching forward and backward, but I still think it was at a point where it was manageable. Everyone was yelling to everyone, listen to the woman, get down the alleyway first. The music wasn't that loud yet. People weren't, out and about for that long. And just in general, there weren't that many people in the alleyway. But after this crowd is able to get through the alleyway, there's like this lingering feeling. This is not a good situation. At first, in the beginning of the night, all the posts about Itaewon that night were, oh my God, Itaewon's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. It's so exciting. Look at all the places that are open. Look at these costumes people are wearing. It was a good thing. It was a positive feeling. But throughout the night, more posts were popping up about how dangerous things were starting to feel. Someone straight up tweeted, wildly unsafe in Itaewon right now. They showed some pictures of the intense crowds. It wasn't just social media.
Yeah, I remember when it happens. It's actually crazy.
A lot of people in Itaewon called the police, which I think is interesting because technically no crime had taken place yet. But the fact that a lot of these civilians could see that things were escalating, I think that goes to show you how unprepared the city was for this event. Like, it's just insane. One survivor said, it was around 8 p.m. when I went into the alleyway, and it was like hell. So this is even before the incident. They said there were already a ton of people in the alleyway and I couldn't get into the alleyway. I couldn't even get in. So there's multiple directions that people are coming in from. On both sides of the alleyway, there's 2 directions people are flowing in from.
Okay.
Like this, right?
Yeah.
And she said, I couldn't get in. After waiting for an hour to start walking down the alleyway, my friend and I were like, okay, we can't do this. Like, let's turn around. They try to turn around. They're like, okay, we've been waiting here for an hour. We haven't even started walking down the alleyway. But it was impossible to turn around because they were jam-packed. People were pushing up behind him. I mean, they were literally trapped. Someone was pushing them down the alleyway. People in front of them were pushing back on them. She said that she heard people behind her screaming, squeeze in, squeeze in. Like, come on, let's get down the alleyway. But in front of her, people were screaming, help me, stop. Like, I can't breathe. Stop pushing.
This was 8 o'clock.
Yeah. The scariest part that she said was she fell. She said, a person in front of me fell and I fell with them. And everyone behind me started falling like dominoes, right? So there was like a little incident where everyone started tripping. And she said, someone was under me, I was under someone, and people were on top of me. I could barely breathe. I was calling for help and I felt like the music was drowning me out. Nobody could even hear me. And then finally, someone like dragged her to the side into one of the bars. They later left the alley slowly along the wall. But it was just as crowded as they left. So things, they're clearly getting worse and worse. One caller told the police before the tragedy, and I repeat, before the tragedy, they called the police and said, I feel like I'm gonna get crushed. When I was in that alleyway, a lot of people were just getting squashed. It's pure chaos out here. Please help. Send help. The officer on the other line reassured her that help was on the way. Records show that they were not on the way. Out of numerous phone calls that were made to the police that night, the police only sent out officers 4 times, and apparently they didn't do anything. I don't know.
Where's
maybe
the
they
police
didn't feel like
again?
anything was wrong. Maybe they didn't care to find out. Honestly, I don't know. But it is noted the police did not dispatch anyone after calls were made from 9 p.m. and onward. So an hour leading up to the tragedy, the police sent no officers to the site. And they were getting tens of calls. And it truly is not that nobody was alerting them that something was wrong. In fact, someone even walked into the police station to tell them. A live streamer, let's call her G. G was live streaming in Itaewon that night. And, the night started off great. But soon the roads, the alleyways, they got so crowded. She's being pushed and shoved to the point where she had a crossbody bag on. And the strap broke. And her purse was just gone because it fell. And she can't even look around at the ground because it's just so filled with people. She tries to look for it briefly, but the crowd is so intense. She goes to the Itaewon police station to report her purse missing. But also, she's warning them. Like, this is how crazy the crowds are. Like, you don't think that's crazy that this happened with my purse? Like, nobody stole it. It broke because I was being pushed and shoved. She said, when I was there in the alleyway, I even saw people shouting that they had fallen and that they had gotten hurt. Like, you guys need to do something about it. The crowd is getting out of control. Somebody's going to get hurt. The police ignored her. They instead focused on the fact that they're like, oh, well, we're going to keep an eye out on your purse. Hopefully someone turns it in tomorrow to lost and found.
The purse is not important anymore.
Oh, it gets really,
Oh
the
my God.
conspiracies come too. It's really crazy. So, I mean, the question, I guess, is did the police just really think that nothing bad was going to happen? But they were wrong. The tragedy happened 1 hour after she reported it to the police. A 24-year-old South Korean streamer, let's call him Mr. A. He was live streaming. And his time in Itaewon, like I said, with the other live streamer, at first you see him laughing, he's smiling on the stream, he is walking through the crowds, there's people in costumes, dancing, having fun. And then slowly the initial joy just starts dissipating. Those laughters suddenly morph into people's screams and cries. And at one point, even the streamer is crying for help because he had walked into the alleyway and got caught in the crowd surge. So he said the space got tighter and tighter and tighter, and the pressure became unbearable. He said there was this girl next to him, and she was much, much shorter than him. She was screaming for help. He tried to give her as much space as possible, but it was difficult. And in the end, he said that he saw her face turn purple,
Ooh.
and then she stopped screaming,
No.
and then she died.
Wow.
Streamer said the only reason he was alive was a guy in a blue denim jacket helped him climb
Oh
up
my
into this
God.
small ledge on the wall of the alleyway. It was like a small staircase ledge, like a mini balcony. And the streamer said that once he got up there, he started helping other people onto the ledge, saving them from the crowd. And there was this moment where people on the ledge looked at each other, and one of the guys told him, "Please don't pull more people up. It's already too crowded." And the streamer said, "Okay, just one more." He helped save about 5 to 10 people from the crowd. And remember the denim jacket guy that helped him get onto the ledge in the first place?
Yeah.
He stayed in the crowd and let the weaker people climb up on him to get to the ledge. He survived. He
Okay,
did
I'm
make
glad.
it up to the ledge at the end, and he stayed behind to help administer CPR later. It's speculated that the man in the denim jacket saved more than 10 people that night. But the crowd started getting tighter and tighter till literally hundreds of people were trapped in the alleyway. The space of the alleyway is said to have been the size of maybe like half a classroom. Think of that many people in this small amount of space. They're not able to communicate because the music is so loud. The floors are uneven. It's so easy to trip. It's just insane. Obviously, I don't know what that would have felt like. I've never been in that situation, but there were a lot of people who survived the surge, and they described it as, "I saw a man with this flashing baton trying to signal people to move back. But you can't move back. It doesn't even matter if someone's giving you directions. It's so crowded. You can't move even if everyone wants to move. You can't move." So like I said, this crowd surge was different from the first one. You know, the first one that I told you about that didn't turn into an accident because the woman on the ledge, there were way too many people this time. So even if there were people taking initiative trying to navigate the crowds, there was no space. The amount of coordination something like that would have taken, nearly impossible in these conditions. And even then, who knows if it would have worked?
I'm trying
in
to
the crowd
pain
said that
while
they saw
watching
several
too.
people trying to look up at the sky, looking for some sort of like direction, some air. They looked like they were getting lightheaded, like they were gonna faint. They couldn't even reach their arms up to protect their lungs. So that's like the first thing they tell you to do in a crowd surge is to try to give your lungs space. So you put up your arms in almost a defensive boxing position. They couldn't even lift their arms. Most of the ones in the center of the crowd, they couldn't even reach their hands to look at their phones that they were holding in their hands. Many of them had missed calls from their parents. One mother texted her daughter, "Where are you? Where are you? I'm losing my mind. I'm going crazy because I'm so worried. Please respond just so I know where you are. Please just tell me you're safe." The mother had her daughter's name saved on her phone as "my oldest princess." She would never respond. There is a video of the situation. Well, there's multiple videos of the
Don't scare
situation
me like
where
that.
you can see just how dire the situation is. There's some videos where you can see a man trying to cling onto a brick that's protruding from the wall, and it's just
Not by
it's
too
just
much
really
pain.
graphic. I know it might be puzzling. Some of the videos, they show a different perspective where there looks to be some sort of space between the crowd and like an opening. And I saw a lot of comments that were like, why don't they just all move forward? There's space. I don't get it. At this point, what the video isn't showing is that there's people stacked on top of each other on the ground in front of that space. There's no way for anyone standing to move forward. People had fallen. They were stacked so high, the people behind them were blocked. It said that the worst part of the crowd surge, people were stacked on top of each other 13 feet tall. Situations like this, it's like a domino effect. One person falls down, and because of the force of others pressing into you, it's very likely that another person's gonna fall.
You say 13 feet? That's way taller than the ceiling.
Yeah, because
Crazy.
it's going downhill and stuff. Again, this has nothing to do with anyone being drunk. I don't really like it when people make
I'm
it
gonna
out
try
to
to
be,
fix
oh,
this.
a bunch of drunk people. Of course they're going to trip and fall. They're going to wreak havoc. This is more about just plain physics. It wouldn't matter if we're talking about church ajumas on a Sunday after drinking tea. Like, this is about physics. It has nothing to do with alcohol. Because of the
Okay,
slope
nice.
and inertia, like I said, one person falls, it's going to be a domino effect. People are just going to start collapsing. And even if you don't fall, that doesn't mean that you're going to be fine. The pressure of all these people pushing into you, it would cause your lungs to not be able to inflate with oxygen.
This
If
is
10
much
people
better.
are pushing onto you with their body weight and more,
Yay.
or let's say they're on top of you, which by the way, there looks to be way more than 10 people pushing onto everyone. Let's say they're on top of you, that could be similar to 1,000 pounds of weight pressing straight onto your chest. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to breathe. It's incredibly dangerous, incredibly real, incredibly terrifying. A person may lose consciousness 30 seconds after being severely crushed, and they would suffocate after about 6 minutes. Side note, I know a lot of people in the beginning when news first broke of what happened, I saw a lot of people wondering if it was a stampede, which is you're getting run over by a group of people. Like they're running on top of you. But it wasn't. It wasn't someone being trampled to death. This was more like quicksand. Like being trapped in quicksand. People were pushing up against one another, falling, stacking on top of each other. It's like you're suffocating because you're unable to expand your chest to bring in air. Many of the victims would pass out while they were still standing up. So it wasn't a stampede. It's categorized as a crowd surge. Most people who were in the crowd, they remembered vividly about how it felt. They were being lifted off the ground. Their feet weren't even touching the ground anymore. And that's why there's so many shoes that were left behind, because that's how strong. I mean, the pressure from all sides, they were just being pushed and shoved. And that pressure, it's like they're being held in the air by it. I imagine it's like the feeling of being caught in this powerful wave in the ocean. Like you don't stand a chance when you're there. Your body is pushed, shoved, thrown off balance. The force is so strong. Like, what can you do? And in this situation,
Oh, the brown is
survival might
nice.
solely depend on where you're positioned when it happens. There's a 21-year-old Malaysian named Ragu, and he was lost in the crowd surge. He called his best friend Kim while he was stuck in the crowd surge, and Kim said Ragu was this hard worker. He worked in construction so that he could earn money to send back to his parents back home in Malaysia. He was just this patient and kind soul that just wanted to support his family. He called him in the crowd, and he told his friend Kim, "I'm having a hard time breathing." He also told him, "There's a woman next to me who's fainting, and I'm trying to get her medical attention. She needs help very quickly." He told Kim that he's trying to find ways to escape the crowd search because this woman, this stranger, really needed help. Kim is anxiously staying on the phone with him, and I'm sure that he felt just helpless because he can't do anything for his friend. And then suddenly Ragu told him that the woman he was trying to save, the stranger next to him, her hand had gotten cold. And not too long after, the phone was disconnected. That was the last time Kim would hear from his
Oh
friend.
no.
He died that night. At around 10:30 p.m., the fire
That's so
department
sad.
starts receiving calls that 10 people have been pushed down to the ground and crushed. So again, I don't think it was just 10 people, but I think in the vicinity, people who were able to access their phones saw about 10 people. They reported that people were having difficulties breathing. A few minutes later, the first 4 ambulances were dispatched. Then 6 more came just a few moments later. Police officers started arriving at the scene, and they're unable to control the crowds. Now, it's important to note that there are a few select police officers to judge for not taking action quicker, but a lot of the ones that were dispatched in this moment, they were just genuinely trying their best to help. They were not the ones making executive decisions of who goes where. They were going where their superiors told them to go. They were not the ones picking up the phone about this Itaewon crowd surge. They were just told to go there. So they show up not knowing what's going on. There's a video. Police officer Kim, he wasn't even dispatched to the scene. He was on duty nearby and he happened across the situation. So he stops and he tries to take action. He said that when he got to the alleyway, he made his way through the crowd. He saw that civilians, regular civilians, were already taking initiative, pulling people out and doing CPR on them. So he's like, okay, this is what we need to do. You know, we need to try to figure out the best course of action in this chaos. He and his colleague decide that the best thing that they can do is redirect the crowds to stay away from the alleyway, away from the Hamilton Hotel, because you add more people in the mix, it's just not good. They also needed space for rescue work. So he starts trying to direct the crowds, and it was hard. So these crowds, most of these people have no idea what's going on in the alleyway. These are people that are about to funnel into the alleyway, and they're moving past him, and he's in police uniform, but so are a lot of people. It's Halloween.
Oh my gosh.
And he's trying to get everyone to walk away from the alleyway because it's utter chaos over there. People are dying. People are suffocating, falling down, collapsing. And if you watch the video of him, there is like this almost primal desperation in his eyes. He's trying to talk to the people that are moving away from him. And these people, they're inches away from his face. And it seems like nobody's listening. Either
It's
they
so
can't hear them
frustrating.
through the music. It's nightmare fuel. When you're screaming, no one can hear you. You're the only one that knows that doom is happening. There's panic. He's trying to scream over the music. Please go home. Do us a favor. Everyone, please go home. Don't go further. Please go back. Please don't go forward. You can literally feel the fear through the video.
Oh man. So I'm trying to adjust my seats. No, yeah, that is so sad indeed. Cause you just don't know what to do, kinda. No. Yeah, crowded places is scary. Can be scary. Yeah, the music is so loud too. Oh, poor man. Yeah,
He's trying to yell at them to go the other way, away from the search.
yeah, like what she mentioned, because it's Halloween, so probably most of the people thought he's just dressing up, but no, he's like a real policeman trying to help. Oh, the frustration. That's true. There should be, especially if they know that this place is like so tiny, like the alleyways is so tiny. They should like have like a maximum people can be there, you know? So yeah, I think they learn from that lesson, hopefully. So, but yeah, it's so sad.
Tried his best to warn the crowds. He tried to warn everyone that people were dying and they all needed to leave. It was dangerous. And nobody was really listening. He was later interviewed and he said that he didn't have a megaphone on him because he wasn't dispatched to the scene. He was just on duty. He stumbled upon the dire situation. So I imagine he wasn't even driving around in like a cop car. I imagine that he was like on patrol duty. He said, if we went back to the precinct to get a megaphone, we would have lost too much valuable time. And he cried on the interview and he said, in the end, a lot of people ended up dying. And I kept thinking to myself, if I had hurried, if I had a megaphone on me, if I handled the situation differently, in a better way, maybe we might have saved one more person. And that's why I'm at a loss for words, and I'm so sorry to the families who have lost their loved ones. He said, I tried my best to rescue them, and I'm sorry. I just couldn't. I couldn't.
저희 경찰관들 그리고 이동 시민분들이 정말 발벗고 나서서 구조를 해주셨는데 결과적으로는 많은 분들이 돌아가셨잖아요.
Oh, that's so sad.
저는 그래서
Makes me want to cry too.
말씀드린 대로 제가
Listening to this podcast sometimes makes me want to cry.
또는 다른 더 좋은 방법으로 구조 활동을 펼쳤다면은 한 분이라도 더 살렸을 것 같은데 그것 때문에 참 유족분들께 너무 면목이 없고 죄송한 마음밖에 없습니다.
The situation literally couldn't have been worse. I know there's a lot of discourse about what's wrong with these partygoers. People are dying. Why aren't they listening to the police? What's wrong with them? But that's not everyone. I mean, I would like to believe it was a small group of people. It's not like everyone just stood around watching. People, they tried really hard. There was a photographer visiting from China, and he went to Itaewon thinking he would take a lot of cool pictures since he heard the costumes were going to be going all out this year. He finds himself crushed in the alleyway instead.
Wow.
He's hanging onto this pole to prevent himself from losing balance and falling over, and he was standing behind these two women. Every time like a wave of pushing would come, he would grab onto these women. He said he tried to stabilize them because he knew if they fell over, they would be dead. There would be no getting back up in this situation. He wanted to make sure that they were okay, even when he himself was not doing okay. And there were others like him. He said he looked into the crowd and saw this family. So a mom, dad, and a kid that seemed to be maybe 3-4 years old. The dad was holding onto the baby above the crowd
No.
so the child wouldn't get crushed. And side note, it seemed like the family was passing through to get home or to the station. It's not like they were out.
Because there's like
partying for
kids
Halloween with
too.
their kids.
It's crazy.
They get stuck in the crowd and they're screaming for help. He said that he saw the crowd working together to pass the child from the parents to a nearby business in the alleyway. So when the photographer made it back out alive, he went back to his hotel. He's so shaken up. I mean, he only had like 3 pictures in his camera roll that night, and all of them were before the tragedy, and everyone just seems to be so happy, just connecting with each other. And he said that his hands are shaking when his wife called him. They just had a baby, so she just gave birth recently, and she's calling from China, and this is so heartbreaking. But she called and asked about his night, and he said he came home because he just wasn't feeling it. He didn't want to tell her that he had witnessed one of the most horrific incidents of his entire life. He didn't tell her that he stood there watching people die next to him. He said that he didn't want to worry his wife until he got home. Like, even during the most traumatic moments of these people's lives, even during a situation where it was life or death, a lot of these people were still putting others first. A little girl had gotten lost in the crowd. She was separated from the adults that she had come with. She had momentarily fallen down, and she felt a man helping her regain balance. And if he hadn't, she likely would have been crushed to death. She didn't know his name. She didn't have the chance to thank him. Witnesses said that the man who helped her ended up getting stuck after he pulled her out, and he ended up passing away. His name was Lee Ji-han, and his name might sound familiar,
Oh,
but
yeah.
he was a 24-year-old actor in South Korea. He was on a
think
few
I
different
heard about
shows, and
him.
he was always known to be very...
It's like an
in Korean,
idol.
it's called 매력적이, which means very charismatic. So he'd be on these shows, and he would laugh in these like reality shows, and he would always cover his mouth very shyly. He just felt like such a genuine person. And the most heartbreaking part about this is that he had just signed to star in a new NBC fantasy drama that would have been his breakout role. Like, that was the role he had been looking for, like, his whole career. And he had what it took. He was good at his job. He was able to make people fall in love with these characters. He just wouldn't get the time. The little girl's parents expressed their gratitude and apologized to Lee Ji-han's family for his act of courage. So all the while this is happening in the middle of the crowd, just to show you how chaotic this whole incident was, some people at the top of the hill didn't even realize that there were people being trampled down at the bottom. Some of them didn't even realize how dire the situation was becoming. They were just excited to get down there and have fun. And we're going to talk more about this later, but there are online speculations that a group of people had caused the crowd surge and had started pushing people down. More on that later, but for now, at 11 p.m., 30 more ambulances were deployed to the scene, as well as more personnel, more authorities, national disaster medical assistance teams, firefighters, policemen. They're all finally being dispatched to Itaewon. Finally, at 11:19, Halloween in Itaewon was called off. 10 minutes to midnight, the fire department issued a Stage 3 order, which is usually reserved for large-scale disasters. It was too late. I mean, first of all, they arrived a bit too late. I mean, even when the personnel got there, it's not like they could do much. They're just trying to resuscitate people. It was pure chaos. Add to that, there were a ton of partygoers who were wearing paramedic uniforms. They look like doctors, nurses, police, firefighters. The music is still blasting. I mean, it's hard to even decipher what the hell is going on, who to listen to.
Yeah, literally 5
like,
hours
what's going
later.
on. It was chaos. And of course, the question is, if authorities had gotten there sooner, if the victims had been treated immediately, could they have been saved? I'm not a medical professional, but a lot of medical professionals online speculated that, yeah, a lot of them could have been saved.
Yeah, literally.
Usually after 4 to 5 minutes of enduring this level of pressure and lack of oxygen, you start heading into severe brain damage territory. So time is of the essence. I would say that there's a few different types of people that weren't a part of the crowd search. There's the ones that were inside. So these are partygoers that were inside bars, restaurants that weren't connected to the alleyway. They probably came outside and saw all hell break loose and they had no idea what's going on. Then you have groups of people in other parts of Itaewon that hadn't seen what happened in the alleyway yet. So they don't know what's going on. They're partying on the other side of Itaewon. They're living up their Halloween weekend. Then you have
It's
those
backwards.
who saw what's going on and they fled. They left. They were terrified. Then there were those who stayed and tried to help authorities with CPR. And then there were a group of people, and I would like to say this is the smallest group of people, that saw what happened, heard people were dying, and they continued to party.
Crazy.
There's a viral clip
Crazy.
of people partying on the side of the street while
Nah.
ambulances and medical staff are performing CPR.
No, that's crazy.
inside.
Like in plain sight.
Yeah.
How can
And
people
this is the first
be
clip
like
I
that?
saw of Itaewon on the night that it happened.
What the heck? Now that's fucked up.
You think these people know what's going on?
A lot of people think they do. I would like to speculate that maybe they didn't know. In their defense, they said that there were a high number of ambulances present. So maybe they just thought it was like a precautionary measure. But they were literally fist pumping to the song on the beach. I mean, the
Wow.
visual impact has been a lot. So while ambulance lights are flickering around them, they're singing, dancing. And to make matters worse, it said that a lot of people were so busy filming the ambulances while partying, they were blocking the medical staff.
No,
from
that's the
getting
thing.
to
I
the
hate
place.
when people just like
Koreans could
doing
not,
that.
for the life of them, understand how that could have even happened. How could people be doing that? After the crowd surge, the alleyway slowly starts getting cleared. And now we're just dealing with the aftermath. Trying to rush everyone to get medical
Wow.
attention. There were hundreds of people laying there motionless, needing CPR and needing it fast. So Anna was originally from Spain, and she had come out to Itaewon with her friends for Halloween night. She walked into the bar that night with her friends. People in costumes were laughing, taking pictures. I mean, it was a great night. And then when she walked out, it was just like an apocalypse. She didn't even have time to take it all in. People start running up to her and her friends, and they're like, "Do you know how to perform CPR?" Anna didn't know, her friends did, so they're like, "Hurry, follow me."
This is
Anna
why
starts
like
running
knowing
without her.
CPR is
She's completely
pretty
alone, just
important.
standing in front of this
You
restaurant,
kind of want to learn it.
confused.
You never
3
know.
minutes later, her friends come back and they're crying and they're screaming. We tried to save them. We just tried to save like 5 or 6 people, but they died. Anna runs with them to go help more people, and she said, "I didn't know what I was doing. I just followed the others. They told me to hold these people's heads, open their mouths, and I tried, but they all died."
Mm.
The people we tried to help, they had already stopped breathing. There was nothing we could do. It was so traumatic.
In our school, you get curses once every year. Oh, that's so cool. I don't think my school does that, but I do know like my workplace has they do have that. Like I don't know, once I don't know, and how often they do it, but most of the time it's like gets full pretty like quickly. So I wanted to like inschrijven, right? Because I think I remember they said they're gonna do it, but it's already full, so sadly I couldn't do it. But the next time I would love to, because like in any situation you can always help people. Like you never know, it might help someone's life. So please, if you have the chance to learn it, make sure to do it. I think my dad has that. Like he has like the diploma and everything. I think his workplace also have that. So yeah, it's very important to know those kind of things, like things that can save people's life. That is something that I think everyone should learn from school or workplace. So yeah, I would love to join the courses next time as well. Oh, they're free. You can also sign up in the gemeente. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'll make sure to like do research for that, because hearing this tragedy hurts me so bad. So yeah, thanks for letting me know, Nini. Yeah, you'll be like an A happy, or yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, again, please, if you have the chance to do it, make sure to do that. It's very important. Yeah, let's continue.
It was total pandemonium. I mean, sirens and screams and cries. Music is still blasting. Paramedics are doing CPR in the middle of the road. Partygoers are stopping and watching. Some of them are performing CPR. The only lighting is coming from the brightly colored neon lights of the bars and the ambulances. Random civilians started taking charge and administering CPR, most likely to girlfriends, boyfriends, best friends, their sisters. Like, you see these people trying to get them to come back, and it's just so desperate. A Pakistani nurse was visiting his brother that lives in Korea. They went to Itaewon just to see what Halloween was like in Korea. He ended up surviving, and he helped with the CPR efforts that night.
Oh,
He
that's
performed
amazing.
CPR on roughly 15 to 30 people that night. Now, if you guys have performed CPR, it's physically incredibly taxing. It's not just like you're using your whole body. These people were drenched in sweat. He said that he worked all night long, and he saw everyone working so hard. People didn't even know who anyone was. They're just doing everything they can to try and save some people. I just want you to listen. He is speaking Korean, and he's saying, "I'm a nurse. I know how to do this." But, and if you don't know Korean, you might not understand, but you hear people screaming in the background, and they're screaming, "Help me, help me." He pretty much worked all into the night, and the next morning he got home with his brother, and he said he couldn't even fall asleep because all he heard were the screams of everyone screaming, "Help me, help me." And he said even months later, he can't close his eyes without hearing people screaming, "Help me, help me."
And it must be so traumatizing.
Also in the crowd, there was a college couple who were getting married in May of 2023. So in just a few months from when you're seeing this, they had been in the crowd, and the man did everything to try and protect his girlfriend. He tried to shield her body with his own body, and he made sure that she didn't fall. But he ended up losing consciousness, and the two were separated in the crowd. He woke up. Medical staff were like, "Okay, well, you need to go to the hospital right now." He refused. He rushed to find his girlfriend, who was laying there just on the cold ground, and he performed CPR for over an hour,
No.
and she wouldn't come back. And there's more on the CPR situation we need to talk about.
Oh,
So
that's
most
so
of the
sad.
victims were women, naturally due to height and smaller stature. Most of the victims who passed were women.
Oof.
The paramedics were going around, and they were unbuttoning their shirts because that's how you do CPR. It's easier for them to breathe. Apparently, this is very standard. What's not standard is some onlookers pulled out their phones and tried to record videos.
The fuck?
The victims were being administered CPR in an attempt to save their
Man.
lives. Some people thought to film it for the internet
No, that's crazy.
because they were partially unclothed. People
Bro.
were crying out loud, "Stop filming. Everyone stop filming. Just help."
How can people be like that?
Their bottoms were uncovered. Even their shoes were missing. A lot of Koreans were upset because for these victims, even in their last moments, it's like they were being robbed of their dignity.
Literally.
It's just a gut-wrenching feeling. There were hundreds of people down in the ground at this point.
Oh,
Once the
my
chaos
heart.
was somewhat contained in terms of the chaos of the alleyway and the partygoers were shuffled out, the victims were rushed to ambulances and to the hospitals. But by this point, it's too late. Most of the bodies were laying on the side of the road with blankets covering them. Their bodies were being put on stretchers to be taken to the hospital, but there were no signs of life, really. Most of the victims had already passed, but they had been left just on the road for more than an hour because there were too many victims that rescuers couldn't transport them all to the hospital quickly enough. A Chinese student who was in Korea at the time, she was in one of the big bars of Itaewon, and she had no idea any of this was going on. She said she walked outside at 2 a.m. Remember, the crowd surge started happening around 10:15. She walked out, and she felt like the world had ended. Quite literally. She said that there were paramedics everywhere doing CPR on lifeless bodies. There were still sirens. She said, "I saw rows of people covered with cloth blankets, and I felt like I was confronted with corpses." The first official death toll was issued by authorities at 2:30 in the morning. They stated 59 people had died and 150 people were injured. An hour later, the numbers rose to 120 people that were
There's
dead,
so many.
with 100 injured, and it would rise again. And side note about these injured, I know sometimes we hear these numbers and you're like, well, what does injured mean? Like, do they have small scratches? Like, what's going on? I'm pretty sure it varies, but it's pretty bad. People had broken bones everywhere, fractures. They were going to need surgeries, nonstop medical attention. A lot of the injuries were life-changing. And if they weren't, they were really horrific. There was a Chinese survivor, let's call her Miss A. She said she barely survived the crowd surge. Even thinking about what happened that night, she feels like she's suffocating. She said she thinks it helped that she was relatively tall compared to the other people in the crowd.
Hi,
But it
Summer.
just felt
Welcome
like
in.
hundreds and hundreds of
We're
pounds
just
were
listening
pressing
to
on her
some
chest. She
podcasts
could
while
barely
playing.
stretch her neck up to breathe. She said her neck was
Yes, I
cranked
have
to
the
one
TV
side
out
and
today.
She couldn't move it back forward. She couldn't move it to the other side. Her neck was like perpetually stuck looking to her left. And she was forced to watch the girl on her left die.
No, that's
She
so
suffocated.
traumatic.
And she couldn't even turn away because she didn't have room to move her neck. Soon after that, she felt something strange on her back, and she later realized that the person behind her was throwing blood up on her.
No.
A lot of people actually vomited. A lot of the dead bodies were seen with vomit around their faces because when you suffocate to death, oftentimes you do vomit.
Oh my
She said that
gosh.
it was so tight she couldn't even move her fingers, and it felt like 300 people were just pushing her, and her legs went numb for about an hour. She couldn't feel her legs. Eventually, she was carried out by a firefighter to the roadside. She was rushed to the hospital. She said she still needs to get x-rays for her chest because it's been really hard for her to breathe. Like, it hurts when she takes a breath. Another survivor, Juliana, she's a 23-year-old student from Mexico who is studying in Seoul. She said she went with a friend to Itaewon, and as they were heading into the subway station to go home at 10 p.m., the minute that they stepped into the alleyway, Juliana and her friend were separated. It was pure chaos. She said it was like this uncontrollable force that was pushing her down. Her feet lifted from the ground and she couldn't go back, she couldn't go forward. Whatever the crowd was moving in, whatever direction, that's where she was going. An unconscious person fell on top of Juliana and she said it was pure panic. She started hyperventilating. She had to calm herself down. She started blacking out. The noise of the crowd started feeling quieter and quieter, and she couldn't feel her legs. She couldn't even move a single toe. She said she started thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to be next. It felt like she was just waiting for death. And somehow, by some miracle, a young man standing on a high platform on the edge of the alleyway was able to wiggle her out and save her. She had been trapped like that for nearly 50 minutes. She said she looked around and there were dead bodies everywhere, and she was severely shaken up, but she went home that night and she thought it was just nerves, but the next day she had a crazy fever. She was hospitalized and diagnosed with necrosis of her leg. Basically, when blood flow is cut off from a part of your body, the tissues start to die. In severe cases, this can be fatal. It's when your limbs literally start dying and it can start spreading. Thankfully, she's recovering, but the pain is really bad. One of her legs is still very blue, very swollen. She can't walk properly. If she even breathes too hard or too fast, she feels immense chest pain. And these are just the physical injuries. In the end, 159 people died in the Itaewon Halloween tragedy, including the deaths of 26 foreign citizens from 14 different nations. The overwhelming majority were Korean citizens and women. 102 women and 57 men. 158 died from suffocation, and one person
So
later
much.
died. 196 people were physically injured. Physically, keep this in mind. That's not including mental, emotional, because the trauma that these survivors, the first responders, the fire department, the trauma that this whole nation is going to carry with them. I mean, the real number of those impacted and injured and the families of the victims whose lives are just never going to be the same. Like, there's no way to put a definitive number on that. Like, it's hard to put a number on a whole nation's pain. So when news breaks of this, parents are glued to their phones. And it sounds selfish to say, but many of them were probably thinking, I hate myself for thinking this, but please, God, like, let it not be my kids. Many parents were alerted later on by officials that their child had passed away, and they didn't believe it because, I mean, just think about how shocking that is. How do you comprehend that? Your kids go out, they're going to be home relatively early, they talked to you just an hour or two ago. Many of the kids were going out to eat with friends. One mother of a victim said, I didn't believe it until we got to the hospital. I didn't believe it until I saw my own son with my own two eyes. And she said since then, her whole family has been broken. Her husband The victim's father has attempted suicide.
Wow.
And their daughter, who sees them in pain, she cries to them, "It should have been me that died. It should have been me instead." Another mom rushed to the hospital only to see that her daughter had died. And she said, "It's truly devastating to identify your own child. When I go to bed, I can't get that picture out of my head, so I can't sleep anymore." The parents, they couldn't understand what had happened to her, so they got her phone and they said at 9:35 p.m. their daughter was taking pictures smiling in a bar. Then at 10 p.m. she texted her friend that she was going to go home now. She's going to go to the Itaewon station and go home. She took a couple more pictures smiling. And then on her way to the subway station, she got caught in the crowd surge and died. Her friend who survived later said that they weren't even trying to use that alleyway to get to the station. It was so crowded up until that alleyway, it's like they got sucked into it like a vacuum. Her friend ended up surviving, and she said it was so bad. She lost her shoes. Her feet weren't even touching the ground. She was just being moved by the crowd. They got separated. And her parents they look at these last pictures taken of her on her phone, and her dad said, "She's smiling. Look at her smile. Look at her face." And her mom would cry, "She's my best friend. She's my best friend."
Oh Will Suk and Kim Un-mi look through photos on her phone, trying to piece together how Jimin became one of the 158 victims of Seoul's Halloween crowd crush.
I can't look at the photos, they make me cry.
That image of her keeps coming to me, so I can't sleep at night.
It must be tough.
It snowed yesterday and got cold. Jimin is
I'm
very
tearing up. I
outside.
can't.
It makes me more sad.
I don't know why I'm like
Both
listening to
parents
this, but
gathered at a press conference,
it's really
and
heartbreaking.
you can hear them scream at one point, "Take us and bring our kids back." Many of the parents are heard apologizing to their kids about what happened. And I can't even imagine the pain of the guilt that these parents are going to carry just for the rest of their lives. I mean, I'm not saying that's a logical feeling. I'm not saying that they should feel guilty, but that's how parents feel. One father found out at the hospital that both his daughter's arms had been broken before she passed away. And now all he can do is visit her at her resting place, and he tells her, "Appa 왔어," which means "Dad is here. Dad is here." He said, "I should have taken more care of her. She was a precious daughter to us."
이제야 아빠 왔어.
There is said to have been over 1 ton in weight of items left behind in the Itaewon tragedy, just belongings, mainly from the deceased. So bags, clothes just left in the alleyway because, they were getting ripped off and the shoes were falling off. There were 123 handbags, 258 pieces of clothing, and 256 pairs of shoes. They were all laid out in a gym in Seoul, and parents and families were called to search for their belongings of their loved ones. And there's this heartbreaking moment where a mother walks in and she recognizes her daughter's handbag. And just to see her reaction to seeing her daughter's bag is so heartbreaking. I don't even have the words.
Oh, I need a moment. Oh. And the fact that it can be prevented, they could have less victim if the police or the authorities that are called in the beginning solve the problem in the beginning. I think there's a chance there might be no victims at all. But no, they have to wait until it's the 4th call, 5 hours later, and then this decided to oh yeah, this is serious now. Oh. I hate it. Why? Why are they like this, literally? Crazy. Okay, let's continue. Yeah.
At a press conference, another mom played a song that her son sent her. And at the end, he says in a voice memo, "Amma, happy birthday. I love you." And just seeing her break down as she listens to his voice again. By November 1st, the funeral homes in Seoul were overflowing. They were filled with bodies of young people who were just starting their lives. Like, so many of them had just graduated high school. Some of them were just in college, or they had just graduated. I mean,
So
this
many
is like
young
the beginning
people.
of their lives, and now they're gone. In one funeral home, 28-year-old James Sims' body was put to rest. And in the room next door, his best friend Yoon was put to rest. And in the funeral home across town, his girlfriend was put to rest. All three of them had died that night. And the one thing that James's parents kept saying was, you know, our son loved to work out. Like, he spent most of his free time in the gym. So how could that not have even saved him? And I think that just shows you genuinely the true dangers of a crowd surge. It doesn't matter your fitness level, your physique. It's just that dangerous. The parents cried, "James is like the best older brother out there. How is our younger son ever going to cope?" A bunch of James's friends who didn't attend Itaewon that night, they came to the funeral home, and they all sat in silence grieving for James. And when they were done, they couldn't go home. They couldn't lay down and cry themselves to sleep. They had to go to the next room over and grieve for their other friend, Yoon. There were altars set up all around South Korea for mourners to pay their respect. A lot of flowers were brought. Some with soju bottles were left for the victims. Many people bowed to the victims as a sign of ultimate respect.
도저히 못 참겠더라고. 언제까지 이럴 거예요, 진짜? 에? 이래가지고 경제 발전하면 뭐 할 거예요? 에? 3만 머리, 5만 머리 뭐 하냐고. 젊은이들 다 죽여놓고. 에? 언제까지 이럴 거예요? 부상한 애들 나가지고 키워서 고등학교, 대학 보내가지고.
The man who is breaking down, talking about what good is a strong economy. I think there is a lot of trauma left over from the ferry incident in 2014, where
that one is
over
crazy.
300 people died, a majority of them young students. We're going to get into that in a second, but I think the whole nation kind of united in these moments. Like, the whole nation was so devastated by this. I mean, even here in the US, I didn't know a single Korean that did not feel immense sadness for what was going on. Many Koreans came out to hold up candles and these memorials all over South Korea. It's estimated that over 100,000 people came out to grieve. But slowly that sadness and that grief would turn to anger, because it's like, okay, now we want some answers. So the first person that, not the families of the victims, the internet went for were the so-called pushers. So there were words of survivors that sent chills down people's backs. A lot of survivors were interviewed, and they said, "We were all suffocating, and from behind we could hear people screaming, 'Push, push, push.'" The survivor said that the crowd started feeling these pushes in different
Wait,
intervals.
let me read this.
Like, you were
There's a hidden basement in this house. Okay. Demolishing the wall and the wardrobe uncovered stairs to the basement. The former owner's grandfather was an accountant and always kept lots of documentation around the house. Looks like it's store everything here. We have another room to work with, but first we must get rid of all of the cardboard boxes. No wonder, I thought like it's pretty easy. This house like so tiny, but apparently there's a hidden basement. But yeah, let's continue.
up against a massive wave, just being pushed, regaining balance, and then being pushed again. There's a couple of videos where you can see, I guess, waves in the crowd, if you can call it that.
Oh, look, so many people in there. Looking at
People are
this,
standing static, and then they're being pushed in these wave-like motions.
looking at it, this already makes me like couldn't breathe,
People were
you
pushing
know?
the crowds on purpose. More
thank you
and
so
more
much for the
survivors came out
follow.
to confirm these
Welcome
stories,
in.
and they said yes,
Dexter
there
in.
were a group of guys screaming push,
Dexterton,
and they were
sorry,
pushing
yeah.
hard. One survivor said that they heard a guy say F.
I'm just playing House Flipper today and watching some documentary about this tragedy in Itaewon, which is two years ago. And yeah, the reason why we're watching because I'm sick and I couldn't talk much. So usually I listen to music while playing, but today we're gonna watch this because I'm in the mood. Why not?
Let's just all push, kids. Push, push, push. The survivors said they could see the crowd surge and they were all thrusting forward and a bunch of people started collapsing in front of them. A lot of survivors all seconded this story, and some even mentioned seeing a guy with a rabbit headband being the leader of the pushers. They said that they heard him scream, "Go crazy, kids, push." One survivor said about the rabbit headband man, "I really felt like I was in hell. People in front of me were crying for help. They said that they were dying and couldn't breathe. People behind me were screaming and pushing, and I was like, wow, this is what hell feels like. My feet were lifted up from the ground. I couldn't breathe. Suddenly someone grabbed me with their hand and I was crying. They had saved me. Like they shouted at me to make myself pull myself together. There were still people around us screaming, partying, singing. It was so evil. It truly felt
it's
like
crazy.
hell. I saw people being crushed together and dying. If I ever see that person with the rabbit headband again, I would gladly stab them." Another witness said, "I can't believe what had happened. I saw people laughing. I'm not sure if they found it funny or if they were too scared to know what to do." What's wild is that during this entire tragedy, there were people that were still partying, like I said. A survivor from India, Nuville, said that it felt like waves were coming down on him. There was nothing you could do. It felt like you were being sucked in the crowd. And it's like the crowd has a mind of its own. The only reason he said he survived was a woman, ironically wearing angel wings, waved to him, and he was able to find his way up to a high step in the alleyway. And from there, he could see people dying.
Wow.
He said there were so many of them. There was nothing he could do. He felt so helpless. He tried to scan the crowd for his friends. He reached for his phone. Nobody picked up. The most heartbreaking part was that he saw this man on the side of the road afterwards, just tunnel vision, performing CPR on his friend, just going at it, not taking a moment to breathe for like 30 minutes. He had sweat dripping down. I mean, he himself was so out of breath, like 30 minutes. People tried to drag him away because everyone knew that his friend was gone. But he still went on for 30 minutes. And Nouvelle said it was evil because he turned to the right and he saw a few people fixing their faces while this was all happening, as if nothing had happened. Another witness survivor said they lost faith in all humanity that day. Now, back to the pushers. People in the back felt like they could push their way through the alleyway, and allegedly some of them screamed, "We need to push to get through." Some even said that the two Korean words, push and go back. So you had half the group wanting to go back, and then you had half the group wanting to push. It was just at odds. And above the loud music, the chaos of the screams, it was hard to hear what people were saying. So mira means push. Mira, and then tiro means back. So mira, tiro.
Confusing.
Yeah, so with the music, maybe it was confusing. So netizens took their jobs as internet sleuths seriously. They were able to find out who the rabbit headband guy was. They tracked him down online. They start leaving him comments, messages, telling him,
Crazy
"You better
man.
turn yourself into the police because you are the killer. You're the cause of this
Literally.
tragedy."
Like, what would you
It
do
looked like they
then?
weren't going to stop until he was taken down. The rabbit headband man went on to Instagram to state that he and his friends were being hunted down, and he said, "Yes, that's me in the rabbit headband in the pictures. But my friends and I had already left Itaewon Station when the crowd surge happened, so we were not the ones pushing. Like, maybe there's another guy with a rabbit headband, but it's not me." He posted his subway ticket to show proof, and it showed that he did indeed leave Itaewon Station at 9:55 p.m. The police were also able to confirm that he was not in Itaewon at the time of the crowd search, and he wasn't found responsible for the pushing. There were other rumors of a guy that went around pouring oil on the ground so that people would slip and fall. Those were later proven to be false.
Okay.
But the witch hunt didn't end there. I mean, I think people were just looking for someone to blame. A lot of angry netizens were looking for just anyone. Even journalists started to blame people. I think they were just looking for provocative stories. So they started blaming a very popular live streamer. Let's call him K. Netizens speculated that K was the reason for the crowd surge because he streamed that he was in Itaewon and all of his viewers swarmed to see him, causing an influx of the traffic. So they were like, it's his fault for so recklessly telling his viewers that he was in Itaewon. And then he was like, no, I happened to be in Itaewon and I couldn't leave the bar because it was so dangerous. In the same breath, another celebrity was being blamed. Yoo In, he lives in Itaewon and everyone speculated that he went out and people started spotting him outside and that's why they flocked to Itaewon. But in this case, Mr. Yu's agency came out to say that he wasn't even in South Korea at the time of the tragedy. So it genuinely just seemed like people were going out to blame one individual. They were just trying to find someone. But that was proving to be very difficult. So briefly, the public, the netizens, the journalists, they start blaming the businesses. They start turning their attention on the businesses. They said, you guys didn't help out with the crowd surge. The businesses in the alleyway could have saved people, prevented the crowd surge. That's what they're saying. Now, a lot of this rumor comes from the fact that a bar, Waikiki Bar, was seen closing their doors and not letting victims in. But one of the owners and the employees have come out and said, basically in the beginning when the crowd surge was just happening and people were running in, we didn't know what was going on. We thought they were drunk. We thought they were drunk and like having a blast and like screaming and like running into so we closed the doors. I mean, it was strange. But when we realized what was happening in the alleyway, we opened our doors, we let people in, we all started doing CPR. But it didn't matter because netizens were going crazy. They flooded the store owners with really nasty messages.
Oh, that's so sad.
Employees from the Waikiki bar said, I will
They're
never
literally
look
trying to
into
like
the eyes of someone
help
I perform
them.
CPR on. He also stated that there was a distinct smell that started coming from the crowd surge, and he'll never forget it. He said, my heart beats so much that I have to take sedatives every day. No matter how much I drink, I can't fall asleep. I just keep thinking about the look in their eyes. The police even fueled this rumor that it was the business's fault by stating businesses specifically told the police to ease up on police presence this year because these businesses wanted people to party so that they could make more money. Which personally, what? The business owners would later state, no, we didn't say that. And even if we did, what are you
would
saying?
they?
Like,
Yeah.
Are you really just going to listen to us? Like, when have you guys ever listened to business owners and we're like, you know what? You're right. Let me just not show up. And side note, the businesses in Itaewon, they're not doing well. Even months after the tragedy, a lot of them are drowning and dead. I mean, Itaewon has kind of become more of a ghost town these days. People said it just feels wrong to go there and have fun. And this is literally a city that was known for its like fun life, like bars, restaurants, shopping, these activities. They said they're all suffering. Some business owners said, you know, it's been rough. We were hit with COVID. And then when finally things opened up again.
Yeah, I forgot that it was like 2 years
and not only that, but
before
we had to live through
COVID and that
trying
this
to save
happened.
people and being traumatized. So a lot of these business owners, these employees, they have a lot of trauma from the incident. They're emotionally, mentally scarred, and add to that their financial pressures. A business owner said there's no sales, like none, not even one throughout the day. So it was clear that the businesses were not to blame. So since individuals in attendance, the businesses, they couldn't be blamed, the internet started making it very political. Now, this is very intense, and like this, when you start going into the whole Itaewon story, there's so many layers to it. I mean, you think it's just first police planning, the city planning isn't good, and then it just gets very crazy.
Yeah, this is
So
a thing
October
that
29th,
I never
earlier in
know.
the day, there were these protests throughout Seoul. A lot of it happening in Yongsan, which is the province that Itaewon is inside of Seoul. Now, there were protests everywhere, and they were like labor unions protesting. They were close to Itaewon. There were reports of 18 different rallies and protests taking place the day of October 29th, and they were big. Like about 30,000 people were out protesting. Now, the right-wing individuals are trying to blame the left wing. So the labor unions, they're typically associated with the left wing. And basically, they said because of these protests, police had to be dispersed throughout the province. And they used up all the manpower, making sure that the protests were contained and nobody got hurt during the protests, that they didn't have any more resources for the Halloween weekend. But the left-wing groups fought back for that reasoning, and they said, no, it's dumb to even draw these conclusions. So on the weekends, nobody should protest. And the current president, President Yoon, he's a conservative, and we've talked about him before on the Stephanie Sue channel. He's made some very controversial moves, such as moving out of the Blue House, basically leaving the White House to live somewhere else. And that somewhere else is in Yongsan, which is the province that Itaewon is in. And that's going to suck up a lot of resources, especially with the police department, because there was a set protocol in place when the president was in the Blue House. And now they're adding just a lot more chaos, I guess. It's speculated that 700 police officers were busy commuting to and from the president's new residence. Basically, people on the left were saying because the conservative president unnecessarily moved, the Yongsan police were too busy accommodating his new residence and keeping him safe. They didn't have enough manpower to protect the civilians in Itaewon that weekend. A lot of people were calling on him to step down, the president, but the conservatives were arguing with them, and the whole thing just got super political. Now, to be fair, Koreans had a lot of other things that they were mad at the government for. The most recent tragedy of the Sewol boat sinking in 2014, 306 people,
Yeah, that one
majority
is
of them
crazy.
students, died when a ferry sank off the southwest coast.
I want to listen
of the
to that one
country.
again.
Government
If you guys
response
needs to
was
listen to that
really
one.
bad. Like the president was shifting
Yeah,
blame.
it's
Just
fucked
really
up.
gross. The government focused on their image rather than prioritizing lives. So as the boat was sinking and in the key moments where lives could have been saved, the government straight up refused help from other countries because they would look bad on them. They tried to downplay the severity of the event. I mean, it was so gross. So a lot of people with that trauma lingering in literally every Korean's minds, a lot of people are like, wait a minute, the government should be the one responsible. Everyone pays taxes in Korea. That's what the police are supposed to do. I mean, it's like that in the US. If there's a big concert in the area, if there's a big game, police have meetings about it. There's a protocol, there's a coordinated strategy. Like these are the departments that are responsible for making sure that everyone is safe, even if it's not like a police event. Like you have a big concert, police are going to be involved. And it's not just like this secretly planned event. Someone said, I mean, everyone knew what was going to happen in Itaewon. Like, people were going to party. Someone said the government is responsible for such organized events. They should have planned ahead. They should have sent out enough police. They should have evacuated people accordingly. They should have controlled the crowds. I mean, even the signs were so clear. Like, even as the night progressed, you didn't have to be in Itaewon to know that it was getting overcrowded. Even the subway stations were jam-packed. Everyone was swarming to Itaewon Station, and basically they would all travel to that tight alleyway to get to their destinations. The government response was just really bad. The Korean Premier Minister Han Duck-soo was doing an international press conference about the incident, and due to technical issues, he couldn't hear the translator properly, like asking a question. So he smiles and he said, "Who's responsible for me not hearing the interpreter?" It's just really distasteful. Like his attitude, his energy, it was very, what
Crazy.
are you doing? A lot of netizens wrote, I can't believe what I just heard. Like, is he being sarcastic right now? Like, this is crazy. Is this a time or place to be cracking these cute little jokes? Like, how can you even smile and laugh in this situation? The next day, he apologized. But it gets worse. Do you remember the 16-year-old high schooler in the beginning of the episode who took his own life because he lost his friends in the deadly tragedy? Well, the premier minister basically told the press that that victim should have been more committed to getting mental health treatment.
Bro.
He said the basic preventative measure that the government can take is this, but the victims themselves need to want to receive treatment. They need to be persistent. Only then can the government support them. Yeah, well, you can just see how that went over. And finally, with enough pressure, the South Korean government decided to list the high schooler as a victim of the Itaewon tragedy. The government originally did not want to add the 16-year-old who committed suicide into the death toll. The government didn't know because it gets super technical, but the families of the victims could be able to receive some government assistance when it comes to mental health help and funeral costs. So I think for the parents, they wanted him to be listed as a victim of the tragedy, not for the money, but because he was. This is why he died. If that incident didn't have happened, he wouldn't have taken his life. It's pretty straightforward. So yes, he is a victim of the Itaewon tragedy. But you can see how the government had incentive to not have him listed. They didn't want to raise the death toll. They most likely didn't want to acknowledge the level of trauma that the incident would cause to the survivors, to everyone. So after the government's response, the president also said his condolences, but it was just very... And again, this has nothing to do with like political parties or who the president is or what he stands for, but I just think in any situation like this, it's just a very lukewarm response. It was very PR. So after the government response, parents of the victims, they weren't happy. One of them said, this is a PR response. They should show us that they're working hard to prevent things like this from ever happening again. Like, we need to know what's being implemented so it doesn't take place. Another victim's mother was so angry, she tore up the condolence wreaths that were gifted to her by the president and the mayor of Seoul. She said, the government failed to protect the children. Flowers are useless. Do you remember Yejin? She dressed up as Princess Jasmine in the beginning of the story. Her dad visits her every day. She was his only child. She was his whole life. And he said in another interview, children who lose their parents are orphans. But there is no word for parents who lose their children. But I think I found one. Sinner. I feel so guilty for losing her. And he's mad. He's angry. He said the government is trying to give them money for funeral costs, which the funeral costs were said to have been about $11,000 a victim, and medical attention, medical help, I think $7,000 in medical help for the survivors. And he said, we can live without the money. We can't live without our daughter. This is not the way to help us right now. This is not how you help the grieving parents and families. They're
Yeah,
not taking
money couldn't
accountability.
change
They're
that.
just all shifting the blame to everybody
Literally.
else. And as a parent, it fuels me with rage. He said, if we get a proper apology and see those responsible
Hi, Lam,
punished,
welcome
it
in.
would reduce my anger maybe 1/10 of a thousandth. But
Yeah, we were watching some documentaries today because I was sick the whole week. So, and I'm feeling much better, but my throat is still hurting. So, why not just watch something while we're playing? So, yeah, I really like this little TV. So cute. But yeah, the episode that we're watching, it's about the Itaewon Halloween tragedy that happened 2 years ago. And yeah, it's very tragic. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm much better. I'm happy. So yeah, but I was home the whole week this week. So yeah, but I'm much better. Yeah. But yeah, we're watching some Rotten Mango, my new favorite like podcast, I guess. I think this is count as a podcast, documentary stuff. Yeah, it's really interesting.
at least a little bit.
It's so sad too what happened.
알라딘에 나오는 자스민 공주 옷을 배워왔더라고요. 그걸 입고서 내 앞에서 패션쇼를 하면서 가끔 지지가이가 패션쇼 하면서 아빠 나 이쁘지 이쁘지 하면서 아니 깨방정을 떠오르는데 자기네 잘못을 인정하기는커녕 다른 사람한테
Man, I wanna cry.
책임을 전가하고 책임을 회피하고 이런 작태를 보면 분노가 치밀어 올라요.
All the families want is a government apology, an honest
Yeah.
investigation into how things happened. Many of the parents agree that this is murder. Murder by lack of organization, murder by omission. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, they anticipated many people were going to be there for Halloween. They had a meeting. The government had a meeting about how it was estimated that 100,000 people were going to gather in Itaewon, and they didn't prepare for it. A parent shook their head and said, I don't understand that. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Many of the parents were also saddened by the public reaction. One said, did the kids all go to heaven simply because they went out to have a good time? I don't think that's right. Because a lot of people make it seem like these kids wanted to have fun, so they had to pay the price. But that's not what happened
Crazy.
here. Another person weighed in. The government always talks about how they can't prevent an accident like this from happening, but now they need to come up with practical measures to make sure it never happens again. The parents are angry, and I think another good place for that anger is with the police and the police chief of the Yongsan department, because what the hell is going on with the police? It said that the police initially planned for 200 police officers to be at Itaewon for Halloween. But
Yeah.
that night, only 137 officers were on duty in the area, which even 200 doesn't sound like a lot, because the words Halloween and Itaewon were trending on so many different social media platforms. YouTubers, streamers, they were all telling their viewers that they were going to be in Itaewon. A lot of people were drawing attention to Itaewon's Halloween festivities. It wasn't like this, oh my God, I'm so shocked so many people showed up. There were so many phone calls made to the police alerting them of the dangerous situation unfolding. It said that from 6 to 8 p.m., 28 reports were made about the overcrowding situation.
Literally.
From 8 to 10 p.m.,
Nobody does anything about
51
it.
reports were made. And right before the accident, another 79 reports were made. And during all these reports that came before the incident, this is not even including during the incident when people were collapsing, only 4 police officers were actually dispatched to the scene.
Literally.
And I don't know if they did anything. Like, maybe they told their superiors that something bad was happening and the superiors didn't care. I don't know. Maybe they didn't think anything was happening. And the first reports came in 4 hours before the actual tragedy.
Crazy.
One survivor said, "It would have been nice if there were policemen trying to maintain order, but there was not a single police officer in the beginning that I saw. And once the accident happened, it was hard for them to enter the scene and help." So after the tragedy, there was an investigation.
It's like so
into
late
police,
that they
and
came
an official
in.
said, "Oh, those reports coming in, they were just general reports about inconveniences that residents had." So police chief of the Yongsan Police Department, Lee Im-jae, he was investigated. And wow. Okay, so the day of the incident, when the reports of the dangerous conditions were coming in, the police chief decides that he's going to end up going back to the police station. But instead of walking there, which would have been a 10-minute walk, he decides he's going to drive to the police station. And it would take him nearly an hour to drive to the police station in critical moments because he didn't want to walk. Then when he gets to the station, he goes up onto the rooftop to check it out. He's thinking that maybe he can see the alleyway from the police station rooftop. But imagine, people are in danger and you're like, let me walk up to the roof to see what's going on. Additionally, he tried to hide what his schedule was like the day of the incident, but reporters were able to piece it together. And also, side note, the president of South Korea called this man personally and he didn't pick up. So let me walk you through that day that he really didn't want you to know about. He claimed he arrived at the scene at 10:17 p.m. and he took charge immediately in saving lives. But instead, what really happened was he was overseeing a rally, a protest that was happening near the president's office in Yongsan. That ended around 8:30 p.m. He went to a local restaurant nearby for dinner with other officers at 9:24 p.m. He received the first really bad reports about the crowd situation, so other subordinates at the police station disregarded all the other prior phone calls. At 9:30, they were like, maybe we should tell the chief.
Wow.
So he gets to the restaurant 9:24. At 9:30, he gets it. What do you think he would do?
He continues his dinner.
Bro.
He ate
Why?
samgyang leisurely for about 20 minutes. He goes to his car at 9:47 p.m. and he drives to the
this is so
police station
frustrating to hear.
respond to this. Now, this is what's insane. From that Seolleongtang restaurant to the police station would taken him 10 minutes to walk. He chose to sit in traffic for an hour because he wanted to drive. He got to the police station at 10:55 p.m. It took him an hour to go half a mile. It could have been a 10-minute walk. And then he's seen on CCTV walking from his car to the police station. And if you see him walking, he has his hands behind his back as if he's leisurely strolling around while people are dying.
He doesn't care about that.
Oh, he is now, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's his urgency level. He gets to the police station, goes to the roof to check out the situation. Later, he tried to lie to Parliament and said that he requested additional safety task forces for Halloween, but he was rejected twice. He said he requested, they kept saying no, so he had to make do with the amount of officers that he had. This was a complete lie. He never requested extra security forces. Actually, a police officer for the Yongsan Police Department reported that he told superiors that they need to look into crowd safety and deploy officers for Halloween weekend. But his superiors told him, and I quote, "Focus on the large-scale rally near the president's office that night instead." And just to expand on that, at the time, 1,100 police officers were near the presidential office in Yongsan.
Wow.
And the same day, 4,700 highly trained crowd control officers were near the president's office. They were tasked by the administration to monitor anti-government protesters.
They could have saved those
None
people.
of them were sent to Itaewon.
Oh my gosh.
So it left only 137 officers for Itaewon, and only 137 of them, that's literally nothing. No officers, out of the 137, no officer was in charge of maintaining security and safety. Like, there was no game plan, there was no thought out strategy. These 137 officers didn't even seem to be working in unison to make sure everyone stayed safe. In fact,
Crazy.
these
That scared me.
officers were told their main focus for the
Gotta
night
go.
should be on cracking down on drug usage in Itaewon. Police Chief Lee Im-jae was arrested December 23rd of 2022, so not too long ago. He's still being investigated. 2 other officers were immediately arrested because allegedly they told their subordinates to destroy internal reports about the phone calls that were being made to warn the police about crowds. And
try
as of
to
January
get rid of the
13th
evidence.
this year, there have been 23 people that were indicted. Half of them are police officers. Most of them are accused of contributing to the death toll through negligence or even trying to destroy official documents that might include
Crazy.
criminal evidence. Out of that group, the highest ranking official so far is the chief of the Seoul Metropolitan Police. So Lee Im-jae is just the Yongsan, the province, but the actual Seoul police chief was arrested as well. There's still a lot of questions though, like why wasn't the subway blocked? That's a huge point of contention. So normally the Korean government will block the subway stations, and typically it's done through the police. The police will tell the metro department to skip a station during big events. So Itaewon was becoming overly crowded, so the first thing that they should do is make sure nobody stops at Itaewon anymore. It just bypasses Itaewon, right? You would think that's the next step, but the subway station wasn't blocked, which we know is super important because of the location of the Itaewon station with the alleyway and how the tragedy unfolded. So why wasn't it closed? There are 2 sides to this, the police's side and the transportation side. Completely different government departments. The police said, oh yeah, we asked the Itaewon station to stop. Like we asked for this station to be skipped to help disperse the crowd when things started amping up. We even asked if the subways could give people free tickets out of Itaewon. So really help them out, right? So we could control the crowds better. But our requests were denied twice. The Metro department came out and is like, no, that's not how it happened. That's not true at all. The police were only asking us, how do we make requests for free stops for people? Like free exits for people. It was like a nonchalant question, so we answered it with our usual response of like, this is the official format on how to do it. They weren't even telling them like, this is an emergency. The Metro said that they can't control it on their own, even if passengers were like, you need to like skip this stop. They can't do it because it takes a lot of civilian guidance and movement. So the police need to be at the station guiding people on what to do. Like the train can't just be like, anyway, we're deciding to skip, because then it's going to cause like a surge somewhere else. Like it's a whole thing. Side note, another arrest was made. The chief of the fire department was investigated. His name is Cha Sung-bom. The police stated, they stated that the chief of the fire department, Choi, did not respond properly to the scene, which is rich coming from them. But I guess there was maybe some valid criticism. So the first ambulance at the scene was actually sent from a different province. So they're like, explain yourself. That's what the police are saying. But nobody liked this take. Like, not the netizens, like really nobody. So Fire Chief Choi was there at the site. He was the control tower. He was guiding police officers, the firefighters. He was managing the chaos to the best of his ability. And I'm sure there is a lot of critique out there about maybe it wasn't the best managed, but he did seem to try. The police claimed that the incident was further escalated because the fire chief's poor management of the disaster. It just really seems like they're trying to point fingers, if I'm being honest with you. Even the prosecutors, basically the DAs, were like, no, like let the fire chief go. And the firefighters came together to support him. They did not believe that this was the right decision. It felt like the government was using their chief as a scapegoat.
That's
Even
crazy.
most netizens and Korean citizens did not agree with this because I do think that there is always a level of distrust with police. But with the firefighters, they were truly acting as first responders. It wasn't even in their plans. Like, they weren't necessarily the most responsible for making sure that the crowd surge didn't even happen in the first place. That falls on the police. So they came in afterwards to help. A lot of firefighters spoke up and said, we gave our everything at the scene. And it wasn't enough. But we gave it all. They said that they watched through the body cam footage to learn and to see what they could do better. And one firefighter said, one thing I noticed is that there wasn't a single moment where any of my colleagues, not a single moment where we were walking. And I think that's supposed to call upon the chief of the police for his nonchalant attitude while the tragedy was taking place. And that's where we are. Like, it's crazy that there's no end right now. Like, there's no, okay, guys, and maybe we can all sleep better at night because this is what's being done. Like, that's just where we are.
It's so much more impactful to hear these personal stories because it just sounds like a crazy story, but to hear individually, every person, how this is impacting them is, I don't know, it just brings so much realness into this.
And I know a lot of people were focusing on the people partying and screaming on the beach and stuff, but just hearing how all these regular civilians, the way that they were trying to save each other, like, yeah. I think the one thing that we should try to remember is the news cycle moves so fast. And I just hope that the parents, the families, like, they get the answers that they deserve. One quote from the parents really stands out to me, which is, "Please serve our kids justice on their way to heaven." And there's a sign that was put up outside. This is a sign that was put up around Seoul everywhere. And it says, "Please don't forget about us." About Itaewon. That is it for today's main episode. This wasn't even supposed to be like a video episode, but I just really wanted you guys to see and hear from the families of the victims. But please stay safe, and I will see you guys on Sunday for the mini-sode. Bye.
That was so sad. Okay, on to the next one. Yes, of course, the government try to cover it up. Of course, it's always them. But yeah, now I know what's going on there. Because I thought it was just like a merely an accident, but apparently it's like much deeper than that. So, it's crazy. Okay, let's see which one I want to hear. I low-key want to hear about the Sewol again. Because that one is... that one's actually so crazy. But that takes like almost 2 hours, so I'm gonna save that for the next time. Let me see. Also, I'm gonna play like one more house. We finished the first house, and it's actually not that big. So let me see which one I'm gonna hear. Also, don't want to hear the scary one because it's pretty late. Oh, low-key, the burning sun candle is also fucked up. I swear, this South Korea. But yeah, I'm curious about the burning sun because I know that one is so bad. It's like involving some K-pop idols too, and they have this like club where they assault women and everything. It's so crazy. Let's hear that one. This one takes about 1.5, so we should be able to hear it while playing.
Bada bing, bada boo.
September 14th, 2018. It's the middle of the night, around 3:30 in the morning. The police get a phone call from a young man. He's 27 years old, and he says that he'd like to report an incident of domestic violence, assault. This is the Gangnam police, and this is happening in Gangnam, South Korea. This is like the Beverly Hills, the Upper East Side of Seoul. He tells the officers that he just tried to break up with his girlfriend, and she beat him up, assaulted him. The Gangnam police show up to investigate, and when they get there, the man is further explaining, I just tried to break up with my girlfriend because her personality, if you know her, she's very passionate. That's the nicest way to put it. She just has this over-the-top, dramatic personality, explosive. Her temper is out of this world. She's quite hysterical. So I just try to break up with her, and she loses her mind, starts scratching him across the face, twisting his arm, assaulting him, screaming at him, "Who are you to break up with me?" The police look at the man, and he does have pretty deep scratches on his face. They're quite bloody, actually. There's one right above his eye that's bleeding into his eye. There's one on his forehead. The police ask, "Girlfriend's name?" Kuhara. Kuhara, the famous K-pop idol from one of the biggest girl groups of their time. This is a very delicate case, and they know this. The police start investigating, and there's just something that's not really adding up.
Wait, let me read this one first. I think this is not the main story, but I think it's part of it. But yeah, Gohara, one of my favorite K-pop idols too. Okay, let me see. Warehouse for memories. When Lucy and Dan stumble upon a part warehouse for sale, they saw a potential for turn the industrial loft right away. They've been looking for a bigger apartment for some time now and hope to finally have enough space to accommodate their gradually growing friend circle. The vision of their dream home is quite far away at the moment, but the couple believes this place will become their safe haven. Right, let's see. Oh. Let's see if we can, it looks small, so I think we can do it pretty quickly.
It's not exactly a house, I know. But I've heard you're a real miracle worker. I'm sure you will make this place habitable. Even if the last caretaker didn't make your job any easier. We like the roughness of the building though. This is supposed to be a grown-up living space after all. We've always liked hanging out with our friends. And since we're getting a bit too old and tired for clubbing, we wanted to finally get an apartment big enough to sit around and enjoy our company comfortably. Probably you had more experience with couples getting a bigger
Although I feel like I've done this one before.
But it definitely is not our case. Child-friendly is not something you need to worry about while designing this place. It looks like you've got a lot of work ahead, so I won't take any more of your time. Have fun!
A warehouse for memories, nice. I feel like I've done this place before, but maybe they just look similar. But yeah, let's continue.
This man's story is true. Why is there CCTV footage of Kuhara, the K-pop idol, on her knees begging him to not do this to her? And why did he, the boyfriend, email Dispatch, a Korean tabloid similar to TMZ, twice during this so-called one-sided assault? And what does all of this have to do with the burning sun? A few months after this domestic violence incident, Kuhara will help reporters blow the lid off of the Burning Sun case. And less than a year later, after that, she will be found dead in her apartment. This is part 2 of the Burning Sun case.
Oh, it's part 2. Okay, wait. We have to go in the first part first before we... I think it's this one? Let me see. Oh, there's 3 parts, okay.
Someone who can serve...
Oh, so I was watching it. Let's go back.
Bada bing, bada boo.
In 2016, in South Korea, a woman walks into the police station to report that her ex-boyfriend had taken explicit photos of her without her consent. She wants to file a formal police report. The ex-boyfriend then gets called into the police station, where he says he's more than willing to do anything that he possibly can to show that he is innocent of what he is being accused of. But the problem is, it's broken. The police are like, what do you mean it's broken? His phone was conveniently broken. But the police, they're thinking, we can't just tuck away the case and call it a good day. We're going to have the man send his phone in to a data forensics company, the same one that recovered all the data from the Sewol Ferry victims' phones, and have an IT specialist look at it to see if they can recover any data. So an IT specialist takes it in, and for his privacy, we will refer to him as Park. Park gets assigned this man's phone, and he's trying to work on recovering any and all the data from the device, and he's really good at his job. He recovers almost everything. Over 200,000 text messages, group chats.
200,000 text messages?
Yeah. 200,000 individual text messages.
Oof, that's a lot.
Wow, okay.
Videos, photos, I mean, anything that could be recovered, he's recovered it. But suddenly, the police call the IT guy and tells him, we don't need your services anymore. I mean, you can just stop what you're doing and give the phone back to the man who brought it to you. They explain very briefly, the girlfriend has since dropped the criminal case. She's retracted her statements and said that she lashed out at her ex out of anger and that there were no photos. So the investigation is over.
Wait, so did the police look at the text messages?
No, they didn't look at anything. They're like, just turn it in. We don't even want to look at it. We don't even want to bother ourselves with this. But for the tech employee, Park, it felt like the investigation was just getting started. While he had been retrieving all the lost data from the man's phone, he couldn't help but peek. Could you really call it peeking? He has to verify that the data is being recovered, and how can you do that without even glancing at said data? And what he saw were images of women unconscious, naked, videos of unconscious women being essayed, women being and abused. In group chats, there were prices under these women, the cost of how much it would be to essay them yourself. Menus, literal catalogs of women for sale, messages that depicted people discussing the quote sale of these women. They would read like, number 1 doesn't talk that much and kind of loves money. She also has aspects where she doesn't have much charisma in drinking scenes, but her visuals are great. Number 3, good visuals, she's bright, she's fun while drinking, but the negative aspect is she gets a little messy when she's drunk, but still, a lot of charisma. The receiving end texts back, then let's go with number 5 along with number 3. Girls were just being sold to the highest bidder. Messages showed people sharing videos of unconscious women dragged and essayed. The receiving parties of these messages, they reacted to the videos as if they were watching a funny TikTok, something entertaining, not a literal crime. They would text things like, I fed her sleeping pills and assaulted her in the back, then in the front, then in the back again, and then I finished. People were responding, ha 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 ha. Redacted,
That's so sick.
Insert person's name, ate him. Some other people commented, the mouth on her is great. Another chat log showed a picture of a sleeping woman, and the friends responded, who is it? Her body is so freaking good. Another chat included a video of an unconscious woman being essayed with the text, who wants to watch explicit videos tonight? The friends responded, what's this? Is she unconscious? The sender responds, and if she is, send a video with an alive girl. It's because she's unconscious I can take these high quality videos with flash. Someone else in the group chat responds, you f***ed her, hee hee. In another text they write, she doesn't even remember who she did it with, implying that the drugs they fed the victim altered her memory. But someone else responds into the chat, no, she's just an R word. As Park is reading some of these messages and glimpsing at some of these pictures, he is realizing that there are literal crimes being committed in these group chats. Women are being drugged and essayed. He needs to alert the authorities about it. This feels like a shady crime syndicate out there running some sort of brothel out of their basement. He opens the group chat in full to see what other crimes they had committed, and he was shocked to see that he recognized every single contact name in there. The phone belonged to a famous Korean idol by the name of Chung Chun Young, or JJY. He was the lead of a band called JJY Band.
You know what's heartbreaking? I used to like him before all of this happens because he used to be in this funny shows, reality shows, and I watch him with my sister and everything. And hearing this news really breaks me, but there's so many people involved that it's actually crazy. I'm so angry, but I know about the case, but I never know really deep into it. So yeah, this is my first time listening to this. So yeah, but also I am so sorry if it's too graphic. If you guys don't like anything about what I'm listening and watching, please let me know so I can change it to something cozy. Because I don't want anyone to feel scared or anything. I mean, hearing the words that Stephanie's saying about those women in the group chat boils my blood so much. It's actually crazy when all of this happens. And the first time, I don't know when was this happening, years ago for sure, but I don't know when exactly. But yeah, when that news came out, oh, crazy. It's actually so crazy. Yeah. You can ping some trigger. Yeah, actually, let me do that. I should have done that. Because I don't want to trigger anyone. Maybe we shouldn't listen to this because I feel bad. I know that it's gonna be graphic, but at the same time I don't want to be too graphic. So Maybe I will save this case for myself instead. But yeah, this case is crazy if you don't know about it. If you're interested about it, watch this. Yeah, it's so heavy listening to this, even for myself. Even though I do want to know what's going on, but my content's supposed to be cozy slash horror, I guess, but not heavy stuff. So let me just listening to some silly music this time. Oh, we watched enough documentaries, so I hope you guys don't mind. Let me turn off the TV, or maybe I put something. What's fun to watch? What's fun to watch, guys? Let me see. What can I put? What's a fun documentary that is not heavy? Let me see. Oh, baking video. That's fun. I'm looking at YouTube. Again, I'm so sorry if it's too heavy. I didn't mean any harm. But yeah, I will stop it right here for now. And the next time I'll make sure to put like a trigger warning. That is something that I should have done in the beginning. I did mention some things that it might be triggering, but yeah, I should have put like I should have pinned down that it was like trigger warning. Easiest video with The Sims 2. Okay, let me search that up. I've always wanna like play The Sims, but I feel like I'm not like creative enough to the point that I can play it, you know? Sims 2. But maybe one day you guys can give me like some ideas. Oh, Mystery of The Sims 2. That looks fun. I don't know which Sims that I played for the first time. Probably Sims 2. Yeah, let's watch this instead. OG Sims Speak is really fun. I agree. There's some content that some things that I think lots of people also enjoy like the old ones better because first of all like some of the animation is much better from the old one. And yeah. Let me see.
The Sims, one of the...
But they're such a funny game. The Sims are so funny. Okay, let me see. Yeah, let's watch this one instead. Again, I apologize if I triggered anyone in chat. I'll make sure to put trigger warning the next time. And maybe not watch something too graphic. I feel bad. I'm so sorry. It's supposed to be a cozy night. But yeah, let's enjoy this one instead. Thank you, Summer, for the what is it called? The suggestion. Let's continue. I think after this house, I'm gonna call it off. But yeah, let's continue.
The most influential and popular video game series in the
Oh, I
world,
like
selling
her
over 200
voice.
million copies worldwide. That's a lot of simoleons. The innovative first installment of the series was created by game designer Will Wright and published in early 2000 to overwhelmingly positive reviews. And from there, the life simulator slash home building simulator slash removing the ladder from the pool simulator only grew in popularity. I've always been an avid Sims fan ever since I was a little baby, from Sims 1 to Sims 4 and all the weird console spin-off releases as well for some reason. Sims Castaway, my beloved.
Ooh,
I've been wanting to
Castaway,
cover The
yeah, I
Sims on
remember
this channel
playing
for a
that.
long time, so I thought I'd do a little series going through the drama, the scandals, the bugs and glitches, and the weird, cursed,
She does a
and creepy
different
lore
makeup
of
for
the
each video
Sims
and honestly
games.
slay.
Despite
Oh,
on
that's
the
so
surface being
cool.
life simulators
Cool,
with no
cool,
discernible
cool.
plot, the Sims games
Good
hold
and
plenty
cool,
of secrets
yeah.
from the weird and wacky to the genuinely creepy. So let's dive into the cursed lore of The
I
Sims
like
2.
that when people
But
like
why
put
am I starting with The
efforts
Sims 2 rather
on
than
their
going in
stuff.
chronological order? because I like to cause chaos and distress. Without further ado, let's make like there's no ladder in the
Why
pool
is
and
this
jump
one
right
like-
in. The Sims 2,
Ah,
released on
I don't
September
care.
14th, 2004, was a huge step up from the previous installment. Not only did it feel more realistic and immersive than ever before thanks to
Yeah.
the 3D graphics, which were pretty impressive at the time, but Sims themselves had more personality than ever before. Now they had hopes and fears, aspirations and memories, their relationships were deeper and more complex. Many veteran players consider The Sims 2 to have the most unique, expressive and realistic Sims of all the games, though of course this is a topic of debate within the community. It was a game with truly endless options, allowing Simmers to create and play in whatever weird and wacky ways that they wanted. But we're not here to talk about how great The Sims 2 is, though it is great, don't get me wrong. We're here to talk about all the mysteries surrounding it. Perhaps The Sims 2 was always fated to have a dark tone. Early in development, rumors began to circulate that a fire caused Maxis to lose all of the work they had done on The Sims 2 beta, causing them to have to start all over again. It's unknown whether this is actually true. One article on Unseen64 claims, quote, "All the game's development data was lost during a small office server room fire that resulted in most of the game being developed again from scratch." However, their source for this is just posts from the Mod The Sims forum speculating about the situation, so it's all pretty unsubstantiated. Still, it's a rumor that's haunted the game since the very beginning, an ominous start to a game with some pretty ominous lore hidden away. So, let's get into it.
Sims lore, let's go.
The Sims
I remember a game for the PS2 called Herb Sims in the City, and for the longest time everyone thought I was crazy when I mentioned, but it's... I know what you mean, because I do remember playing that. Summer, you're not crazy. I played that game. And I remember how it looks like. And everything. I do remember, like, we were, like, in an apartment, and then I think we were in an apartment, right? Something like that. But I know what you mean. Because I played it, too. You're not crazy, don't worry. Got your back. My favorite is actually The Sims on the DS, where like there's like alien and everything. I think we're like in the hotel. I don't know what it's called, but it's like something that I've played often. Because like I love DS, and like I think The Sims on the DS like so much fun, and I can build it like however, like I think because it's like limited stuff, so it's not overwhelming me. So I managed to like make it like pretty. But yeah, The Sims on the DS is so much fun. Makes me want to play again, maybe after this. But yeah, I remember that one too.
2 may look like a simple and innocent game. It's a life simulator where you make your Sims go to work and build them houses and watch haplessly as their kitchen catches fire for the 4th time in a row. But there's more to the series than meets the eye. There's an eeriness to all
What
of the
the
game,
heck?
certain features that are a little off, times where the atmosphere shifts
Oh, this is
to feel
scary.
mysterious and eerie.
Huh?
All of the games have their own creepy quirks, and
What was that? I don't remember that. All I had back then was a CD with herbs written with Sharpie. And I thought it was unique or something because I didn't have internet back then. And you trust that. You trust that single CD with the Sharpie that says herbs. Yeah. I think you made a good choice taking that game.
The Sims 2 is no exception. Let's talk about death, keeping it light for our first section. The Sims is a life simulator, and unfortunately with life comes the promise of an inevitable death. Sims live and Sims die, it's kinda what they do, but The Sims 2 began really leaning into the bizarre and shocking deaths thing. Alongside the usual suspects like old age, starvation, and disease, there are tons of wacky and kind of upsetting ways that Sims can kick the bucket. If a Sim leaves enough dirty dishes on the lot, they can be consumed by a swarm of flies. Ghosts can frighten Sims
Yeah,
to
so
death
many
while
deaths.
cloud-gazing or stargazing. There's
So
a very
goofy
small chance
too.
that a satellite will randomly fall on Sims. Business Sims can use an action called Rally Forth to hype up their employees, but if their needs drop too low, they'll choke to death. If you make a poor quality kite, it will become evil and attract lightning, which can cause your Sim to be struck while flying it. Your Sim can die stuck in an elevator, they can be crushed trying to pull out a Murphy bed, and they can be bludgeoned by hail, among other things. Darkly, one
That's so
item
unique.
available for download on the Sims2.com website was is the Running with Scissors playset, which was literally just a pair of scissors that your sim could run around with. The scissors had no purpose or use within the game other than giving your sim the chance to fall and be impaled if they run with them for too long.
Crazy.
Come on, Nexus, why do you want to give these poor sims even more ways to die at the hands of their malevolent masters? Another little dark trivia fact for you, in the unpatched base game there was a choking glitch that would cause sims to mysteriously die at random, and pregnant sims were, quote, extremely vulnerable to sudden death. Obviously this was patched out pretty quick.
There's so many like deaths in that
So
game
your sim's life is
that it just doesn't make sense
At
anymore.
the hands of a Murphy bed or a freak satellite incident. What next? Well, naturally, they turn into a ghost. Ghosts were introduced in The Sims 1, but it wasn't until The Sims 2 that they were really fleshed out and became a bit of a staple within the game. Well, I mean, technically they don't have flesh, but you know what I mean. Ghost sims will look and act in unique ways depending on how they died. For example, sims who died of drowning will be blue and will leave puddles on the ground. Sims who died by electrocution will be yellow and emit sparks. Rally forth ghosts will be gold and hold a megaphone. Sims who starved will be transparent and will constantly check the fridge, etc. Some will also randomly reenact their deaths. The ghosts of children are particularly well known in The Sims 2 for how scary / totally glitchy they are. This isn't like a Skyrim thing. Young sims can technically die within the game, but they'll have no walking animations, will sometimes lack facial animations, will appear to teleport randomly around the lot, and will trigger random NPCs to arrive. We'll touch on the sheer bugginess of the game later, but for now all you need to know is that this is just one of many different glitches found within the game. Just keep that in mind as we go forward. Ghosts are known to haunt houses, and many simmers found themselves terrified while playing at night as strange sounds and horror music would start playing at random times if they had ghosts or tombstones on the lot.
Nah, that's scary. That's a lot of attention to detail. I think some ghosts just scream and walk around now. That's true. That's the thing that is lacking on the newest Sims, is those kind of things. I think that's also why people don't really like The Sims 4. I mean, of course they have like cool stuff in The Sims 4 and everything. Yeah. Those things on The Sims, like the OG Sims, what makes Sims, if that makes sense. So yeah, just don't know why they don't have that anymore.
It was especially freaky since sometimes these ghosts were unbeknownst to the player, meaning that sometimes random horror stingers would just play in the middle of the night with the player unable to find the cause. Unnerving to say.
Yeah, it's so funny that it kind of looks like a horror game. The Sims.
The least. Ghosts aren't the only supernatural skulking around in The Sims 2. The game introduced life states, also known as occults, which are basically
that's scary.
monstrous or mythical beings that your Sims can turn into. You know, witches, vampires, aliens, werewolves, stuff.
The scariest part of The Sim now is having to pay 400 simoleons to have all the DLC. No, that's true. There's so much DLCs on The Sims 4. Well, some of them are great, but it's just like I said, if it's too much, it can be too overwhelming. At least for me. So that's why I could never like really play The Sims 4. I tried it, but it just doesn't work out. So yeah.
Like that. And actually, while we're talking about werewolves, they have appeared in every Sims game, but they are especially freaky looking in The Sims 2. They really softened them up for The Sims 3 and 4, but there's something about these sort of unrefined Sims 2 werewolves that, ugh. Perhaps one of the most grim life states is that of the zombie. Sims can be turned into zombies in 3 different ways. The Resurrectonometron is an item that allows you to pay the Grim Reaper to bring a Sim back. If you're stingy with your simoleons, old Grim will bring your loved one back to life as a zombie. You can also use a genie to wish for a sim to come back, but the wish may fail, resulting in a zombie sim. Lastly, witches can cast an evil spell on a deceased sim to bring them back from the dead.
See how cool that is?
This is great. The family gets their loved one back, the zombie sim gets a second lease on life, everything is all sunshine and rainbows, but not so. While they exist in every installment of the Sims series, zombies have particularly horrific implications in The Sims 2. When they're brought back, their faces will be gaunt and their skin pale, they'll be unable to move any quicker than a slow shamble, and all of their skills will be forgotten, and they'll be unable to conceive any children. They're immortal and will never age, and there's no cure, meaning that they're basically stuck like this forever. The fact that their relationship with whoever brought them back will be significantly lowered and becoming a zombie will be registered as a negative memory for most Sims indicate that this isn't seen as a second chance and a new lease on life, but rather a curse and a disruption of their eternal rest. Many Sims players have spoken about the eerie vibes that they get while playing The Sims 2. Say what you want, but The Sims 2 was such a fever dream. Most of the time you're sitting there like, am I playing a life simulator game, a comedy game, or a horror game? I can't tell. There were certain
It's
points
just
in
like
this
a
game
mix
that
of
scared me as a
everything,
kid. I couldn't
basically.
put it into words though, just eerie subtleties. The Sims 4
Where's
and 3 have
this
nothing on how
thing?
truly terrified Sims 2 had me at times. I'm really glad to see other people found this game creepy at times. My sister set me up on a family PC back when I was 9 to play The Sims 2 by myself. It may just be because I was young, but there was always an underlying sense of foreboding to the game, like something sinister could happen at any moment if I wasn't paying enough attention. While the game is often comical,
One of my sisters killed the family PC trying to have all the DLCs where I forgive her because I killed another family PC trying to do Devil May Cry. I mean, if it's worth it, she'll be okay, right? At least you're able to play it. Or you guys weren't even able to play it before. That would be even funnier. Like you're trying to get those games and then it died before even you're playing it. But yeah. Y'all learn your lessons. That's so sad. Used to have family PC too. I don't think anyone's breaking it, so that's good.
there are moments of quiet, moments of eeriness, moments of isolation that can make the game feel a lot darker than it's probably meant to be. Nighttime in particular can be pretty unnerving in The Sims 2. Not only are burglars and ghosts more likely to spawn on the lot, but the quiet nighttime ambience carries a certain loneliness. The dark, stretching 3D landscape can feel liminal and empty, and the virtual nighttime feels distinctly mysterious, dark, and at times isolating.
Oof, that's such a fever dream. Oh my god. Maybe that's how most people get a fever dream.
Are weird and off-putting as well. The social bunny is a sim in a bunny costume that appears when your sim's social needs are very low. I know the bunny costume is meant to be lovable and disarming, but it just makes me think of Donnie Darko.
Exactly, I was about to say that.
Poof into existence when your sims go into aspiration.
Donnie Darko is my favorite movie.
Both the social bunny and the therapist can only be seen by the sim who they arrive for. Switching to another
it does
sim's
give off
perspective will cause them
Donnie
to
Darko
vanish,
vibes.
suggesting that both of these characters are just figures of the imagination. The Grim Reaper is also on full show in this game, creepy wispy hood and exposed skeleton and all. They really toned him down in the later games, so it's cool to see him in all of his undead glory here. When arriving to take old sims to the afterlife, he'll sometimes arrive with two female hula dancers referred to as hula zombies. I don't know, I just think that's kind of creepy. Like, they look like normal sims, but they're apparently zombies? I don't know, unnerving, weird. There are plenty of other miscellaneous oddities. A secret lot called Water Vista place that looks like Baba Yaga's hut just off camera, the scarecrow item that'll suddenly come to life and jump scare sims, and the way that sims will turn to face the camera and look at you when you get close to them, breaking the fourth wall.
Nah, that's so creepy.
But those are little details, just atmospheric spooks tucked away within the hidden corners
can I
of the
reach
game.
that?
The Sims 2 has some of the most famous and widely speculated mysteries in the entire series, so let's get into some proper lore.
Let's go.
So at this point you're probably gleaning that there's more to The Sims 2 than meets the eye, and if that's what you were gleaning, well, you would be gleaning correctly. Good glean. Now you might be thinking, Izzy, this is The Sims. There's no story here other than the story of my sim who died burning to death after their mac and cheese caught fire for the 8th time in 10 minutes, and, well, yes and no. While the mainline Sims games don't have any plot or storyline to follow, there aren't any quests or objectives, and it's up to you to make your own fun, there's still plenty of lore. We can learn a lot about the various neighborhoods and the families that live there through descriptions, bios, memories, family trees, and even environmental storytelling within the different lots. All of the Sims games have lore, but The Sims 2 has some of the most iconic and memorable stories, thanks in part to how sinister they are. Let's start with Strangetown, the epitome of Sims 2 weirdness. Strangetown is one of the 3 starting neighborhoods that come with the Sims 2 base game, the other 2 being Veronaville and Pleasantview. Strangetown is the smallest of the 3 and is an old abandoned military/government testing site in the middle of the desert that's been refurbished into a town, and with street names like Road to Nowhere, Dead End Lane, and Cover Up Road, how could you not feel at home? It's clearly inspired by the Nevada desert and Area 51, which is fitting since Strangetown is heavily linked to aliens. One of the most iconic features of the town is a giant crater with a crashed UFO inside it. All of the public lots are decommissioned military buildings, and oh yeah, there are actual aliens running around. Pollination Technician 9 Smith, also known as PT9, is an alien that's moved to Strangetown to settle down with his family, the Smith family, which you can play as. We can actually learn a lot about aliens and alien culture in The Sims 2 by looking at PT9's family tree. Apparently Apparently, aliens are assigned different roles within their society. For example, every female alien in his family tree is called a birth queen, whereas the males are colony drones.
What?
He and one other alien on the tree are called pollination technicians,
Didn't never know about
to
this
abduct and
family
impregnate
tree.
Sims. This is why PT9 has 2 estranged half-daughters and strange
The dollhouse is located in strange stuff. That's my headcanon. I mean, that might be true.
town who are also half alien because during his working days he abducted their father and impregnated him. Basically, there's a whole lot of half alien kids running around
So
because
many
Strange Town is a
information.
hub for alien abductions. And this leads us neatly into our next creepy piece of lore, and perhaps the most famous and enduring mystery in the entire Sims series, the disappearance of Bella Goth. To untangle the mystery behind Bella's disappearance, we first have to take a look at the woman herself. Bella Goth was born Bella Bachelor, daughter of Jocasta and Simus Bachelor. Her childhood best friend was
iconic
Mortimer
Bella
Goth, who she
Goth.
would eventually marry. She always had an interest in the dark and macabre, so the Goth family was a perfect fit for her. After the two fell in love and got married, they moved to a mansion on 1657 Lane in Pleasant View where they had 2 children, Cassandra and Alexander Goth. Bella was last seen in Pleasant View with the local ladies' man / serial cheater Don Lothario. The last photo of Bella depicts her and Don standing on the deck stargazing at night. According to Don's memories, he attempted to make out with Bella, a move that she rejected. Bella did not return home that night and was declared missing. Her photo can actually be seen on milk cartons in the game, and there are several items that reference her, including
That's
one
so
pretty
cool,
creepy
though.
painting called Bella Squared. Though many speculated that Bella was dead, her picture on the family tree wasn't grayed out and her status did not list her as deceased. Bizarrely, after Bella's disappearance, Don met, seduced, and subsequently proposed to her daughter, Cassandra Goth. So you might be asking, well, what does any of this have to do with Strangetown? And I'm glad that you asked. Bella Goth can actually be found in Strangetown as a townie, which is basically an NPC that you can interact with and add to your own household. On a technical level, the original Pleasant View Bella and the Strangetown Bella are 2 separate characters in the game files, but they're actually slightly different on a story level as well. Comparing the 2 side by side, they actually have slightly different facial features, not enough to be immediately noticeable, but just enough to be slightly off-putting. The two are voiced by different voice actors, and Strangetown Bella has no memories or connections to her past life in Pleasant View. She's not even considered to be related to Mortimer or her children. Now, a lot of data and characters in The Sims 2 are buggy and corrupted as hell, so this could just be clunky code, but Strangetown Bella is considered to be blood related to several characters in Strangetown, and she also has relationships with 63 unknown Sims, as well as characters like the Grim
63?
Reaper and the Hula Zombies.
Oh, wow.
It's near impossible to reunite Bella with her family.
Nah, this
If
is
you use
crazy.
keys to spawn in the original Pleasant View Bella, she'll appear to be fine, but if you leave the lot and come back,
Alien scares me so damn much, but I can start pretty watching stuff. No, me too. And did you hear about the recent things that they said? Apparently, aliens are living in the ocean. Don't know if that's true. I haven't looked it up yet, but they're mentioning it, and I'm like, no reason why oceans are so scary. That makes sense now.
she'll get a ghost texture and disappear, and a pop-up will appear telling you that Bella has died on another lot. If you try to move
Whoa.
Strangetown Bella from Strangetown into Pleasant View, it will cause both neighborhoods to corrupt. So the real question is, well, what happened to Bella Goth? And there are 2 main theories. The first conclusion that most players jump to is that Don Lothario killed Bella. After all, she was last seen with him, and his romantic advances being rejected may have pushed him over the edge. In The Sims 3, there's a book written by Bella's son, Alexander Goth, called Murder in Pleasant View, which hints towards this. However, the far more widely believed theory is that Bella was abducted by aliens. She was last seen using a telescope,
Probably
the main way that
aliens.
Sims can get abducted in the game, and later she's found with no memories in Strangetown, alien capital of the Sims world. Despite the strange differences between the 2,
Yeah, I also don't know, but I just like saw it on my TikTok For You page, and they said like they found that aliens is in the ocean. But yeah, we need to look it up if it's true or not. So
Bella's, which has caused some to speculate that Bella was cloned. This theory was debunked in an interview on the Sims 2 website back when it was still up. From the
Why can I
interview
not
quote,
destroy
"What
this
happened
wall?"
the night you were abducted? Did the saucer crash? I'm not sure about all the details, but I've had dreams of being in some kind of ship. I don't think there was a crash or I wouldn't have woken up. I remember green men with big black eyes. It didn't make much sense then and certainly doesn't now. It seemed like only moments and I was somewhere entirely different." In this interview, Bella also suggests that Nina and Dina Caliente were involved in her abduction. alien. Nina and Dina Caliente are two sisters who moved to Pleasant View shortly before Bella's abduction and suspiciously are both dating Don Lothario. Even more suspiciously, they're both part alien. And even more suspiciously, Dina is the widow of Bella's brother, Michael Batchelor, who players theorize Dina married due to her being a gold digger. And even more suspiciously, after Bella's disappearance, Dina starts up a romantic relationship with Mortimer Goth, Bella's husband. It's a mess. Pleasant View is fucked up.
Where
Dina's
should I build
aspiration
this
is
wall,
fortune, meaning
actually?
that she wants to accrue as much money as possible, and this in combination with her being the widow of the rich Michael Batchelor and a pop-up that tells us that Dina is digging for gold indicate that her next target is the extremely rich Mortimer Goth. The Caliente family's description reads, quote, "Was it just coincidence that the Caliente sisters arrived on the eve of Bella's disappearance? And is their interest in Mortimer physical or fiscal? It's possible that to get Bella out of the way and to get to Mortimer, Dina used her half-alien heritage to pull some strings and get Bella abducted. According to Bella's interview, she believes that Don Lothario is a misunderstood man and insists that she was simply there to welcome him to the neighborhood and chat about life. It doesn't sound to me like Don was involved. The rejected kiss is likely a red herring, and the fact that the alien abduction took place at Don's house just a coincidence, or perhaps a way for Dina to make Don look guilty and shift the blame off herself. Don subsequently dating both Caliente sisters and Cassandra Goth is less easily explained. I guess he's just kind of a freak and maybe
It is
Cassandra reminds him of
very
Bella.
messy.
I don't know, like I said, Pleasant View's messed up. There's also a theory proposed in the Bella interview that Dina actually wanted to get to Mortimer not for his money but to get closer to his top secret scientific inventions. Quote, "I think someone sent Dina to town specifically to pull Mortimer away from me. I know he's a genius and his work is important to a lot of people. I couldn't have possibly imagined that trying to create a life elixir that could help everyone would ever push somebody to ruin our marriage. And why take me away from him? Perhaps they thought I was a distraction and believed that taking me away from the love of my life would make him stop his work. Maybe Dina, being an alien, was sent to Pleasant View to gain intel on Mortimer's creations for whatever reason." Regardless of why Bella was abducted, it's confirmed in The Sims 3 that the abduction theory is correct. There's a neighborhood in the game called Lunar Lakes, which is set on a far-off alien planet. In this neighborhood, Bella Goth's body can be found buried in the graveyard. She died of old age and looks extremely different, having pale green skin, a gaunt appearance, and short-cropped blonde hair. Sim Guru Sarah confirmed that this is the same Bella from The Sims 2, and her appearance can be explained by the fact that all deceased Sims after Twinbrook have this pale corpse-like appearance. The short blonde hair is less easily explained, but I don't know, the girl's allowed to change her style, especially after being chucked into space. So essentially, after over a decade of theorizing, the enduring mystery of Bella's disappearance has been put to rest. Sadly, it seems that she was abducted, dropped in Strangetown, and potentially abducted again and taken to Lunar
poor
Lakes,
Bella.
where she lived out the last of her days without ever seeing her husband or children again. And while Bella Goth's disappearance is by far the most well-known mystery in The Sims 2, it's by far the only one. Another eerie character from Strangetown is Olive Spectre, presumed serial killer. Olive Spectre is an elder Sim who lives at 13 Dead End Lane, a house that just so happens to have a giant burial garden filled with the bodies of 21 Sims. One of her first victims was her very first love, a man named Earl E. Demise. Haha, get it? They were engaged, but he died shortly after leaving Olive at the altar and was followed by his brother Tim Lee Demise. Again, it's like another pun. Bizarrely, both died of electrocution. Both of Olive's parents died in a fire and were buried in the yard alongside her neighbor Lila Grant, followed by her first husband Rigor Mortis, her second husband Euthanasia, and her third and final husband Ichabod Spectre. Her sister and brother-in-law also died in a mysterious drowning accident and were buried in the yard, which is why Olive's niece Ophelia is living with her. The rest of the deceased Sims are just randoms, including an elderly repairman, a bug exterminator, and a maid, as well as several teenagers. Olive Spectre's bio ominously reads, quote, "Olive will stop at nothing to get what she wants. She spends her time collecting mushrooms, sharpening sticks, and excavating her yard." It seems pretty cut and dry here. The lady is clearly a serial killer and, well, yes, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Olive actually has a child called Nervous Subject who was taken away by Child Protective Services, and don't worry, we'll get into more detail about where Nervous is soon. According to Olive's memories, shortly before she gave birth to Nervous, she woohooed with the Grim Reaper, leading many to speculate that the literal embodiment of death itself is Olive's baby daddy.
Nah, this is
Now, the
so
leading theory
messy.
among Simmers is that Olive is murdering all of these Sims to be able to see the Grim Reaper again, to get closer with him and rekindle their relationship. After all, her name is Olive Spectre, you know, like I love Spectre, or Olive, I love Spectre. If you couldn't tell, the Sims series really loves their puns. However, looking at the chronology of Olive's memories, the bulk of the 21 Sims in the yard died before she met and subsequently got down with the Grim Reaper, so this doesn't really add up. Another theory is that her first husband leaving her at the altar caused her to snap and become a serial killer, but again, according to her memories, early demise was actually the second Sim buried in her yard. The first was a random pizza delivery woman called Danielle Greaves who died of starvation. Now, it's entirely possible that several of the Sims in Olive's garden really did die by accident and she had nothing to do with it. Several succumbed
she's
to old age
late.
or starvation,
We
so
stand
Danielle
her.
could have just been an unrelated deceased Sim that Olive offered to commemorate in her garden. But it's clear from her bio the sheer number of deceased husbands and family members and the suspicious circumstances surrounding many of these deaths that they were no mere accident or coincidence. Just be careful moving your Sims in next to the Spectre household, that's all I'll say. So what about Olive's son, the half-human, half-Grim Reaper nervous subject? He was taken away from his mother by Child Protective Services at a young age and placed in the custody of Loki and Cersei Beaker, a couple of mad scientists described by the game as secretive and less than neighborly. They live in a large house on a hill isolated from the rest of the town, and it's inside this desolate desert mansion that we can find the basement cellar where they perform experiments on Nervous subject. Strangely, Nervous isn't listed as being related to the Beakers and they have no memory of adopting him. Instead, according to his memories, he moved in with the Beakers as a child, which may indicate that neither party saw this as a loving adoption. Which is fair, I mean, these people are basically holding him hostage as a guinea pig for all their weird, creepy experiments. In The Sims 4, there's a pop-up that indicates that the Beakers were interested in Nervous subject due to his quote-unquote genetic composition and sire, basically confirming that Grim is indeed his father. While Strangetown is absolutely the standout neighborhood in The Sims 2 just by the sheer volume of creepy lore, there are still plenty of spooky secrets in some of the other neighborhoods. In the idyllic Pleasant View, not only are there missing Sims, cheating Lotharios, and half-alien sisters running around, but there's also a pool ladder-based mystery. The Broke family consists of young single mother Brandy Broke and her children who are struggling after the death of their father Skip Broke. Skip's death is described as a suspicious pool ladder accident, and in the Broke's backyard we can see a tiny pool with no ladder.
That's
Some
so
fans have
weird.
theorized that the culprit may be Brandy or one of the other sus characters from around town, but to be honest, I think it was just a funny little nod to the whole pool ladder in joke within the community. And yeah, maybe it is kind of dark that there's a running joke within the Sims community that it's fun to drown your Sims in the pool by removing the ladder, but you gotta admit it's kind of funny. I like the idea that you can't exit a body of water unless there's a ladder in it. I mean, Sims must hate the beach. The last notably creepy piece of Sims lore, and the one I find the creepiest of all, is the mystery of the House of Fallen Trees from the Sims 2 Nightlife expansion pack. The House of Fallen Trees is a lot for sale in the downtown neighborhood. It's a large gothic manor with an extensive backyard filled with weeping willows and an unnaturally deep basement with 2 coffins inside. Upon moving into the home, you'll quickly realize that it's very much haunted. I mean, to be honest, look at the place, what exactly did you expect? 2 of the ghosts, Vorduin and Freakerith, who died by fire and rogue satellite respectively, belong to the Triku family, the very gothic and presumably very rich original owners of the manor. All other members of the Triku family are deceased and buried in the public cemetery downtown, all of them having bizarrely died from starvation. The third ghost in the House of Fallen Trees is a young woman named Raynell Ninja. She's assumed to have moved into the house after the Triku family and have subsequently died at the hands of their ghosts, given that her cause of death is listed as fright. The House of Fallen Trees itself is extremely unique in that it has special haunted house lighting which dims and in some cases turns off the lights after it
that's
gets
scary.
dark. This lighting effect either appears to be an intentional aesthetic decision or some sort of graphical / lighting bug. Either way, it gives the very clearly haunted house a lot of ambience. There are several other mysteries surrounding the House of Fallen Trees. In the late night expansion, a new object is available to purchase, a gothic cemetery-esque statue titled the Grey Woman of SimCity. The woman is said to have died in a tragic house fire and now watches over young children to protect them from fire. What's interesting is that the only 2 locations downtown that the Grey Woman can be found is in the backyard of the House of Fallen Trees and in the cemetery where the rest of the Triku family is buried. Since both Triku teens died in fire-related accidents, some have theorized that the house is cursed by fire. Others theorize that the Grey Woman may have been the original owner of the house given the special statue in commemoration of her. Due to their gothic appearance and names, as well as their unusual family family tree and the coffins in the basement, it's been theorized that the Triku family may have actually been a clan of vampires. This also makes sense as the vampire life state was added to the game in the Nightlife expansion. We may never know exactly who or what the Trikus were, why they all died so suddenly, and why their house has such a mysterious ambience, but it's definitely a fascinating mystery. And I think that's what's so fantastic about The Sims 2 and its world building. It doesn't make anything obvious and it doesn't spell anything out for you. It leaves tidbits and clues for you to piece together. It sprinkles in bizarre memories or nonsensical family trees or odd and ominous descriptions and lets your imagination do the rest. Was Bella really abducted by aliens? What were the Caliente sisters really up to? What's the deal with Olive's grim garden? What will be the final fate of Nervous Subject? It's all up to the player. They can play the households however they want, wrap up or continue these storylines however they want, and make their own mysteries and secrets. It's what's so great about The Sims, especially The Sims 2. It gives you the freedom to make whatever stories you want while still
That's so
dropping
true.
enough lore to give the game an incredibly mysterious, intriguing, and delightfully creepy vibe. Alright, that was a lot of lore. Let's take a break, cool off, and talk about some mods. Mods have always been integral to the Sims experience. There are mods for everything from simple custom clothing and items to completely new features and overhauls that change the entire game. The Sims modding community has always been huge and bustling, with entire communities and websites dedicated to creating, sharing, and playing with mods of all shapes and sizes. One of these websites is a forum called Garden of Shadows, dedicated to dark, gothic, and horror-related mods.
That's so
I really
fun.
love this website. All of the different boards and threads have whimsical, macabre names. There are tons of cool and obscure mods here, and in general it seems like a really neat little site. I'm just partial in general to these older forum sites. They're pretty nostalgic, and it's always great finding these niche little communities tucked away on their own corners of the internet. There were plenty of other weird and wild mods. Cenotaph of the Tribal Covenant allows you to sell babies to an ogre named Gunk, you know, in case there was
Sell
something you were desperate
babies?
for maxes to add into the game. The Giant Baby mod allows you to make giant freakish babies, go figure, and then of course there are all the mods that add, let's just say, adult content into the game, if you're picking up what I'm laying down. But this wouldn't be a Sims 2 video if we didn't cover perhaps the most infamous mod in all of Sims history. Oh my god, what the fuck barbecue. Oh my god, what the fuck barbecue was a mod created by user Pescado
Oh my
and uploaded
god.
to modthesims.com, and was a barbecue that you could use to cook newborn babies on.
Crazy.
The mod obviously became infamous pretty quickly due to its shocking content. For a while it was actually unironically popular with machinima and storytelling YouTube channels, you know, the ones that would make like #deep, #sad movies using The Sims. Yeah, they literally used this mod to make their stories more sad and shocking, which, if you've seen any of these old Sims machinimas, will not surprise you. These old videos were whack and low-key traumatized me as a child, but that's a topic for another day. While nowadays the mod is seen as more of an inside joke or a meme, back in the day there was a large chunk of the community that were genuinely very disturbed by this mod and campaigned for it to be taken down. Allegedly, the Mod The Sims team made it a featured front page mod to own the haters, but eventually the mod became so infamous that it had to be deleted. You can still find links to it online though, and there's even a remake of the mod for The Sims 4. They're pretty disturbing. It's a classic piece of Sims history, and it really does live
That's
up
so
to the
funny.
name. Oh my god, what the fuck barbecue. So The Sims games are pretty infamous for being kind of buggy and hard to run, and The Sims 2 is very much not an exception. In fact, it's kind of the standout. I mean, for everything that I've praised and loved about the game for all these years, I will give it this. It is one broken game. It's extremely easy to corrupt the game with cheats.
That's why it's
Bringing
fun,
back
you know?
certain NPCs from the dead or spawning them on your lot will corrupt the game. There are certain Sims hidden within the game files, for example the ideal plant sim who exists in the code to provide the genetic material for all spawned plant sim babies. Since you're just poofing them into existence rather than giving birth to them, they don't have a father, so ideal plant sim acts as the father since Sims have to have two parents to provide genetic material. Ideal plant sim is just one example of this kind of hidden code sim, but spawning him or any of the others is a one-way ticket to a corrupted and unplayable game. Placing Sims in certain neighborhoods or making them interact with certain Sims can corrupt your game too, for example moving Bella back to Pleasantview. You don't even have to use cheats half the time, sometimes just by virtue of The Sims 2 being a bunch of ramshackle code in a trench coat, something completely random and out of your hands will break the game. For example, and this sentence will sound insane, if the NPC Mrs. Crumplebottom is bitten by a vampire, the entire game will corrupt and can only be be fixed by uninstalling and reinstalling the entire game. There are several game files that appear to be misplaced, and it's not uncommon to find strange and sometimes impossible discrepancies in family trees, like Belagoth being related to several random families in Strangetown. There's an extremely long list of actions that can glitch or corrupt your game, as seen here. Basically, The Sims 2 was built on extremely shaky code and is very prone to falling apart at basically any second, which in my opinion is kinda unnerving. The idea that at any moment for a totally random reason the game could just start breaking is scary. Symptoms of a corrupted neighborhood include Sims in houses disappearing, quote, wants that don't fit the age group, e.g. a toddler who suddenly wants to go on a date, and the iconic squiggly lines, a telltale sign that shit's about to go down, literally. In addition to the many ways that your game can break, there are just a bunch of general bugs and glitches that can occur. There's entire tags on the Sims wiki for corrupted faces and broken faces because so many Sims and NPCs in the game have buggy facial features. Hilariously, corrupted faces are sometimes genetic and can be passed down through generations. It's also possible for NPCs and townies to start cloning themselves due to a bug, filling up the lots with tens of identical clones.
That's
It's
so
even been
funny.
reported that clones of your own Sim can show up on your lot and
The
live
clone
in
of
your town. I don't know
Blentildas.
about
That'll
you,
be
but I
fun.
definitely wouldn't want to live next to myself. There are several different Sims within the game that are unique because of just how broken they are, and not in like an emo way, in like a coding way. Two such Sims are Jeannie Chen and Elle Rodiek. On the surface they look like two regular little girls, but according to the game they're both fully grown men who are about to turn into elders. Because of their gender and age being incompatible with their physical appearance, they float when they walk, talk in deep male voices, and creepily can perform adult interactions. These two are
That's so
hidden
scary.
Sims but can be summoned using cheats, though the Sims wiki advises against this with the warning, while not corrupt, Jeannie and Elle have fractured data and should be avoided. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum is Knut Futa, a deceased Sim found in Olive Specter's graveyard. Yes, the same Olive Specter we talked about earlier.
Oh, this
Glad
corner
you've been
looks so
paying attention.
cozy.
You know what? Have a gold star. Knut appears to be a fully grown man but is missing any age data, so will act like an infant. Yes, this means he will lie on the ground kicking his legs and cooing, he'll sit in high chairs, and he has to be carried around everywhere. Knut is known as the most corrupted Sim in the entire game and perhaps in all of Sim's history. He is lacking basically any data, meaning that he has no genetics, no personality, and no age. His game file apparently contains remnants of an earlier Sims build, but these aren't compatible with the final release. Trying to age him up will cause the game to crash, and in most cases trying to perform any kind of interaction with him will force an error. It's possible that the Sims devs may not have anticipated how savvy players would get with cheats and how interested they'd become in unearthing, pun intended, all of the game's secrets. Because they didn't really expect anyone to see it, they didn't bother removing any of the old code or giving Knut the proper data that he needed to work properly in the game. Instead, they just plonked the guy in Olive's graveyard and called it a day. As we've already discussed, the Sims 2 code is pretty messy and is basically held together with a rubber band and a shoestring, so this Sim is likely just a victim of bad code. In this case, it's definitely best to let the dead rest, especially when the dead can literally corrupt your entire game. Now, these aren't really bugs or glitches, but I am going to use this last little bit of the segment to talk about some interesting unused content found within the files of the game. What the spaghetti code taketh away, it also giveth, in the form of several cool little secrets that Simmers have found within the files. The Sims is pretty well known for its copious expansion packs, and one of the most popular and well liked of the expansion packs across pretty much every game is the Seasons pack. But believe it or not, weather was originally meant to be included with the base game. A clip from E3 in 2003 shows a producer of the game demonstrating some gameplay, and in one section we can see the Sims hanging outside while it pours with rain. It's unknown why exactly this feature was removed from the base game, but it's kinda crazy to think that in a different universe we wouldn't need to pay separately to get rain and snow. Some of the biggest unused features found within the game are several so-called removed scenarios. For context, scenarios in the game are basically events that you have to get a good score in to make sure they go well. For example, parties, dates, and getting into private school are all scenarios where you're given a timer and have to be on your best behavior and impress the other Sims to complete it. The 4 removed scenarios are Big Boss, Engagement, Grandchild, and Power Outage. Big Boss was essentially going to be just like the headmaster from the private school scenario. He'd come over for dinner and you'd have to impress him to get a raise. It's largely unknown exactly how the next 2 scenarios would play out. Grandchild is especially mystifying to me because Like, what are you trying to impress the baby? If you fail the grandchild scenario, does your infant grandchild just hate you with a burning passion? The final scenario would entail your household's power being cut off and you'd have to find a way to entertain your Sims until the power comes back on. Lastly, a model for a plesiosaur-like creature, presumed by players to be the Loch Ness Monster, was found within the files of the game, apparently unused and likely a scrapped neighborhood decoration. For our final section, let's take a look at... So here we're going to talk about The Sims 2 for DS, which I know is technically like a spin-off console game, but
Yeah, this
we're
one.
going to talk about it anyway. It's my video and I get to make the questionable writing and formatting choices. Anyway, The Sims 2 for Nintendo DS was
Oh, it's
released
also
in
The Sims 2.
2005, and the thing you need to know about The Sims
But yeah,
console
this one
ports is that
I
most of the
played.
time they're totally
Crazy.
different from the original games. A lot of the console ports and spin-offs have totally random stories and mechanics that are loosely based on the PC games but are very distinctly different. The 2005 Nintendo DS port is a good example of this. Rather than being an open-ended life simulator, the DS game is more of a hotel builder slash tycoon game.
It's really
Your
fun
Sims
though.
car breaks down in Strangetown, and after staying in the local hotel, it's up to them to improve it by adding extensions and furnishings, cleaning up, and completing goals and tasks for
Yeah,
Sims
the
staying
memories.
there. It's pretty random, but the general consensus among Simmers is that it's also pretty unnerving. Bizarre music would play during the day, there were superheroes and aliens and robots running around, Sims around town would become quote-unquote loopy and get sick or act in bizarre ways. There were hidden rooms around the hotel, Sims would speak in a strange garbled language that didn't really resemble normal Simlish, and there were several really weird plot lines. In one plotline, after doing several quests for a mobster, he asks you to try and blow up the mayor before later asking you to bury a moving suitcase out in the desert. After this questline, the mayor will disappear from the game. In another plotline, you literally have to stop a cult. Overall, the Sims 2 DS game was definitely going for a sort of off-the-wall, wacky, absurd robots and aliens and monsters kind of vibe, which definitely fits the theme of Strangetown. However, for many players, it came off as far more eerie than silly. Definitely an eerie slash surreal
It's really
vibe
fun
to a
though.
lot of the stuff in this game. I think what I found strangest was how big and weirdly empty the map felt, especially the atrium in the hotel. The desert always creeped me out a bit, as did all the stuff in the basement. Not to mention the fact that the road out of town just goes nowhere. I think it was the general aura of the game. The clouds move much quicker than they should, the emptiness of the town, you receiving those strange notes from someone who knew your name and situation who was never revealed, your car disappearing after a few story missions, etc. It feels like the game was built around an existence with no time. The whole game is anachronistic, with the hotel being pseudo-70s, the saloon and jail being from a cowboy western, and the shop being modern. There was a crashed spaceship, toxic waste, and human landing craft in the desert, with harsh sand being strewn everywhere around the landing craft, which is very eerie. You can sell alien parts to the clerk, who the concierge tells you, I believe, is trying to build a spacecraft to return home. There's the furnace in the room that was taken straight out of a Goosebumps story. There's a haunted painting that spawns a ghost around the hotel that bums out the Sims. There's Bigfoot and Zoltron, the eerie robot fortune teller who emits a creepy laugh when you interact with him. There's that creepy shed on the farm that's never explained, not that anything actually is explained. You never learn anything about the concierge, and he is never off shift, which is creepy. Whenever you zoom out, all you can see is a vast, endless desert. There's a well which has a rope that moves on its own. There's a maid that has her own voice on the phone but is never seen. There's a real Hotel California vibe for sure. It feels very close to a literal desert where lost people go to live out their days in misery. Awesome game with an atmosphere that I've never experienced elsewhere. It has its own unique brand of eerie mysticism. Also, big up the Rat Man. Couldn't have put it better myself. They were clearly going for a sort of silly robots and aliens and superheroes thing with the absurdity dialed up to 10, but they added too many eerie details for it to feel lighthearted and silly. Instead of coming off as goofy and off the wall, it comes off as unnerving and wrong feeling, which definitely isn't a bad thing. Like the above poster said, the atmosphere is awesome, and I kinda love when games meant for kids are unexplainably weird and have these sort of dark undertones. A lot of the games that I played as a kid that stand out in my memory are the ones that have moments of unexpected creepiness, ones that made me want to turn on the lights, ones that as an adult I kinda think, huh, that was weirdly dark for a kid's game. Sometimes it's fun to be taken out of your comfort zone and just plunged into a really creepy, weird atmosphere in a game for no reason, and that's definitely what The Sims 2 DS is. And that, my friends, was just a tiny scrape off the tip of the old Sims iceberg. For a game with little to no plot, there sure is a lot hidden under the surface. I love how The Sims 2 manages to be quirky, charming, and silly, as well as genuinely spooky and eerie, often at random and unexpected times. It's what makes the game so great. You never know what to expect, and you never know when the game's gonna throw some crazy curveball at you, like your Sim being hit with a satellite, or turned into a zombie, or, oh well, I was gonna say running with scissors, but I mean,
The scissors
it's
one is
running with
funny.
scissors, what did you expect? But The Sims 2 is just one entry out of the entire series, and there are plenty more mysteries to uncover. I'm really curious to hear from you guys your experiences with playing The Sims 2. Did you find it creepy? Are there any little spooky Easter eggs or details that I missed out on? Do you have any weird, unsettling experiences with The Sims 2 DS? Definitely let me know. As a veteran simmer, this stuff really interests me. I've always been kind of interested in the spooky aspects of games, especially ones that aren't really meant to be creepy. So The Sims 2 is kind of great for that. There's so many little details and atmospheric things, just little bits and pieces that make the game feel off that I really love, and I'd love to hear your guys' experiences with that kind of stuff within the game. And definitely let me know if this video is something that you liked. Like I said at the start, I'm definitely interested in perhaps covering The Sims 1 and 3 and 4. I know I didn't do it in chronological order, but I'd be really
so
interested
many.
in doing just like a series, I guess, of these, kind of just going into like the lore and like dark little aspects of the games, because it really interests me. And yeah, let me know if it interests you as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I really hope that you enjoyed the video topic. Like I said, big Sims fan. I hope that some of you guys are as well, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. And lastly, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye! A huge thank you to my Garfood overlords over on Patreon. Sheriff Whiskey, Xavier Raho, SHSL Simpson, Crip Gunderson, Simon, Katrina Likes 5e Stuff, Dozo Blint, Red Meth, The Fabu Librarian, Matt LRJ, Ren Pendragon, Michelle Olsen, Astrian Vortex, Electro Kitten, Joe Bradshaw, Jordan Nielsen, John Leach, Jorge K. Cruz, Helm Hamburger Hand, Question Are We Not Gyros, Fitzy, Pom, Dana Homegardener, Arcantilus, Jesse.
I'm tired. So I don't think I can continue. The house. So I'll save it here instead. And because I have to wake up early for tomorrow's movie, which I'm very excited. Okay, let's go to my room. But tomorrow, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to the movies. I'm gonna watch Look Back on the cinema, which I'm very excited because it's one of my favorite manga. And yeah, seeing it in a big screen, it's one of the dream. So yeah. Yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Again, I apologize for anyone who got triggered in the beginning of the documentary, especially the second one. Yeah, I'll make sure to put a trigger warning next time. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. Yeah, I didn't know that they played it on the cinema, and apparently they did. In the Netherlands, they only have like a couple of CDs, so I'm very happy that I'm able to watch it. So yeah, I'm very excited. But yeah, they only play like once a day, that's why. And the tickets, it's at 12. So yeah, I need to sleep so I can get there on time. Yeah. I ended up watching it online, but it's going to be on my country next month, and I'm going to see it too. Oh, that's great, that's great. Even if you already seen it, because I already know the ending, because I read the manga, so... But seeing it in the big screen is like another level, so yeah. But yeah, we managed to finish one house though, so that's good. But yeah, the next one I'll continue. Oh yeah, the second house I'll continue next time. So, and I need to rest. So I can get better soon. And yeah, again, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I want to apologize again. I feel really bad. But yeah, I learned my lesson. But yeah, let's see if we can rate tonight. I don't think any dollhouses online today. Let me see. Yeah, nobody from Dallas is online today. We should rate someone else. Let's see. let's go rate Gucha Gucha. I don't think I've ever rated them before. So let's go ahead. And they're playing Hamtaro. Oh, it's another game that I need to play. So yeah, let me go ahead and start the raid. Okay, this is my raid message as always if you like to join the raid. And again, thank you all so much for hanging out. Sorry that if my energy is so low. But yeah, again, announcement. I'm gonna announce it on Sundays too, but my debut is going to be next week on a Sunday, 24th. I'm so excited, but the official announcement will be on Sunday, like this week Sunday. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited, and I cannot wait to show you all the things that I've been working on and the things that I commissioned, and I hope you guys like it, and I'm so excited. Cannot wait. And yeah, make sure to follow my social media. I still need to put my B-Sky because I'm trying to be active there, but yeah. Dollhouse. Yes, make sure to be there. I want everyone to be there. But yeah, thank you everyone. And yeah, have a good night, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And I'll see you the next time. Bye bye.